regular in California now. $6.14 says gas, buddy. You can get it a good bit cheaper than that at one station on Chester Avenue in Bakersfield that's selling it for $5.27. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest, well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make him an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, it's the Ralph Bailey Show. On a Tuesday, 19th day of May, Chris Burdick producing, and a busy, busy show it is. Carolyn Levitt, the press secretary, gave birth to her second child, so members of the cabinet are going into the press room and answering questions. It was Marco Rubio last week. That was fascinating. Today, it was the Vice President of the United States, and he defended the $1.8 billion slush fund that they're creating to pay back what they're calling J6ers. I didn't know they had a cute little nickname for the rioters that almost destroyed democracy. We'll get into that. Plus, there are some big elections going on, big primaries going on, guys that the president has targeted, namely Thomas Massie in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We'll unpack that story for you. And the big political story of the day, the president has endorsed one of the two Senate candidates on the Republican side in that primary, Ken Paxton and incumbent John Cornyn. I'll tell you who he endorsed and what impact it's going to have on Democrats' efforts to not only flip the state of Texas, but perhaps win the Senate in the midterms. And Happy Jacks celebrated their 50th anniversary. So we're going to talk to one of my favorite people, Frances Rosales. Her and her husband, Ruben, began this restaurant. Actually, she told me their anniversary was Sunday. They celebrated it yesterday. 17 did a really nice job of covering it. And then Mr. Trahi, the news director, my old boss, sent his entire staff down there to have lunch and enjoy it and give them some love. And so we'll talk with Frances at 4:30. This will be interesting if she remembers. I've known Frances Rosales. I've known the Rosales family for 20, 25 years. My good friend Tony Tarango turned me on to Happy Jacks when I first got here, but 25, when I first got here. And I almost bought a car from them. I don't know if she remembers that. And then, typical Bailey luck, Chris. I was like, no, I was dating Roxana, and her cousin had a convertible old Mustang that I went with.
Really?
Yeah. Engine blew up 3 months later.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Desi Arnaz said it in one of the great I Love Lucy episodes, never do business with friends or family. Her cousin sold me that car. It blew up 3 months later. Like he didn't know that was a piece of crap. Because there was a part of her family that was like, you dating a brother?
Well, okay. Did you actually figure out why it blew up, though?
The transmission died.
Oh, yeah. No, he knew about that.
Yeah.
There's no way you didn't know about that. There's no way.
And, buyers, you got to be smart. I mean, it had I think a $185. No, it had 185,000 miles on it.
Oh, dude, what?
Well, it wasn't going to be like my permanent car. I told you the story, how my car got hit by a drunk driver. I was living at the New Yorker, right on the corner of, 18th and H, 18th and F, whatever that is, right across from the Guild House.
Yeah.
And I was out, for whatever reason, I wasn't driving that night. And when I came home, my car was in the freaking front lawn. And my neighbors were all outside, and they were like, dude, somebody hit your car. They were coming around the corner, hit my car, threw it up onto the front of the New Yorker.
Yep.
And all my neighbors said is they heard some girl screaming, "Go! Get out of here! Get out of here!" And they got a, and of course the description was a white truck. Because there are not a lot of white trucks in Bakersfield. And so I get there and I'm like, well, it's just a little damage on the side where they hit it. And the cop's like, "No, sir, I think you want to come around here and take a look." And since it kicked it off the curb, it hit my back. One of the back tires was parallel with the ground, was absolutely parallel with the ground. So the universal joint was destroyed. That car was worthless. So I just needed something to get around in until I buy a substantial car. I figured, 185,000 miles, I'll put 50 on it for a year, 2, maybe a year. 3 months, died. I never spoke to her cousin again, by the way. No, anyway.
Understandably so.
Yeah, but we'll talk to the Rosales at 4:30, and we'll get into the war. There was some audio from the press secretary, i.e. the vice president, on that, and you'll hear from the president as well, who said he was ready to pull the trigger yesterday as negotiations continue to kind of go back and forth. We're not sure even who we're dealing with, which makes it even more complicated. And we'll talk a little sports. The Dodgers got shut out last night. We are now, for the first time, I think, since the beginning of the season, in second place, looking up at the Padres after the Dodgers made who's their ace reliever? Miller? Padres.
Oh, Padres?
Yeah.
Miller.
Comes in and walks the first 2 batters on 8 pitches.
Oof.
No outs, top of the 9th. He walks, then he goes 2-0 to the next guy. So he's throwing 10 straight balls.
Something like that, yeah.
And we're swinging at pitches. I'm like, do not take that bat off your damn shoulder. And he gets out of the inning and we lose 1-0. And did you see the Spurs game last night?
Yes, I did.
Wow. I saw the last 5 minutes and then the 2 overtimes.
This kid's a stud.
He is the face of the league, and he's just a kid. It's over. Forget about it. This is, Magic in 81. This is Bird in 83. This is Michael in 91. This is the beginning of a dynasty down there in San Antonio, because this kid is unstoppable. And why they don't just, like in overtime, even Reggie Miller was saying, he's the tallest guy in the state right now. Just lob it to him. Just throw it up as high as you can. When they needed a bucket in OT, just throw it up to the top. Hell, throw it up to the top of the backboard. There's one guy in the state of Texas that's going to catch it, and it's him. But they didn't need that because he was hitting threes. Did you hear what I said? He was hitting threes. You know how many threes Kareem, because I still think Kareem is the greatest. Do you know how many threes Kareem hit in his career?
Say 0?
1.
1?
1. And I'm pretty sure he took 1. And it was a joke. It was after he won the scoring title. He was screwing around. He was in the corner. He threw one up and it was number net. Probably the only way he shot in his whole career. And this kid is 7'5", stopping as he's bringing the ball up, by the way, and just stopping and throwing up. I've never seen SGA so frustrated, just like, what we can do with this guy.
That's going to be the whole series.
Yeah, I Lakers in 5. I mean, Spurs in 5. I don't think it goes more than 5. I really don't. And
I give him 6.
and
yeah.
And I don't see Cleveland or New York messing with this guy either.
No.
Karl Anthony Towns, are you serious?
Oh, he's gonna get worked.
He's gonna get, that's chicken. What does Shaq call it?
Barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken. So we'll talk about that.
Cleveland's got 2 good defending ones, but even they can't stick with them.
No, this kid, now that he knows what it's about and how to win and how to score, I still think Mike Wilbon is right on PTI that there are very few guys like Magic and Bird who just come in the league and start winning all of a sudden. You need to go through what Michael went through, what a lot of these guys, Steph, went through. You got to go through some pain and some defeat before you get to that. I'm not sure that's true in this case. I'm not sure that's true. But we begin, however, with the Trump endorsement of Ken Paxton, who is a nightmare for the Republican Party. And I don't care if you like this guy, you know him, you went to school with him, you were Army buddies with him. You know, politically speaking, he is a nightmare for the Republican Party, if for no other reason, because this Trump endorsement seals victory. Let me start from the beginning. I apologize. John Cornyn is a long-time incumbent. He's been in Senate for 24 years. I think he's going for his 7th term. And he's a sure winner. Sure winner. He would have beaten James Tellerico, the Democrat, who I told you when he was down 7 points to Jasmine Crockett, he was going to win. Did I not? Did I not? When he was 7 points down, I said, remember that I told you he's going to come back and beat her because Jasmine Crockett is a clown. She's an absolute clown. She's a brilliant woman who, if she had some direction and had some common sense, could be an effective legislator. But instead, she's a product of the 21st century. She likes clicks and likes and views and this and that. And she likes the performance thing where she, on certain levels, she is a very articulate product of private school education, which she is. She comes from a very affluent background. And then there's a time when she wants to be ghetto because we ain't picking no more cotton. Remember that speech when she said black folks ain't picking no more cotton and she tries to be ghetto girl when she's actually a suburbanite raised by 2 very affluent parents and went to private education. And when it's important for her to play that role, she plays it. But then when she in the streets down there in Houston, she tries to play black girl. And I said, that just doesn't work. That kind of nonsense is even seen through by black folks. And I told you she was going to lose to Tellerico. He's a pastor. Now we bring on what I call the I candidate, Ken Paxton, with this endorsement today of the president. I call him the I candidate because A, he's been indicted, granted, he was acquitted, but indicted on fraud. He was impeached as the attorney general, granted, he was acquitted of the impeachment. Impeachment is just a trial. You don't get booted until the vote. And he's an infidel, cheated on his wife, which means he can't be trusted. I'm sorry. This isn't the 20th century when all the politicians were cheating on their wives. And it was almost accepted, certainly in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, it certainly was. But I'm sorry, if you can't keep a contract with the person that you brought children into this world with and is the most supposedly important person in your life, you're just not trustworthy. And then you add on the fraud charges and the impeachment, he is a nightmare. And if for nothing else, he's going to cost the Republican Party $100 million that they would not have had to spend if the long-term incumbent, John Cornyn, had been endorsed by the president and would win this election come next Tuesday. But instead, this nightmare is going to win. And again, the infidel is going up against a Democratic pastor. Democrats in Texas are dancing through the streets. This is the exact candidate they want. And because of the president's pettiness, he's handed it over to the Democrats. And this is how Republicans are going to lose the Senate, on this ridiculous pettiness, because Cornyn was with the president all the time, except on a certain couple of things that sticks in his craw. So he's purposely called him a good man, but he wasn't there during the tough times. Okay. I keep trying to tell you, if he ran again, I'd be forced to vote for him against any Democrat. I don't see a Democrat on the list that I can vote for ahead of Trump, but he is destroying the party. It's that simple. We're going to get destroyed in the midterms, it looks like. This redistricting may help us out a little bit, but we are going to screw around and lose the Senate. And again, as I've warned, what do you think they're going to do? It's 2 minutes in, they're going to get rid of the filibuster. They're going to pack the court. The District of Columbia and Puerto Rico will be states. There'll be 4 new senators, all liberal Democrats, 2 blacks, 2 Puerto Ricans. And it's a whole new world. It's a whole new world. Thank you, Donald Trump. That's going to be the legacy of the 47th president, unless something dramatic changes in a hurry before June. Let's go ahead and take our first break. Thomas Massey is up in Kentucky. He is a different case now. Trump has targeted him, but you can make a very good argument, rightfully so, I'll explain when we come back. And then at the bottom of the hour, Teresa Golden joins us, our former federal magistrate judge and former Kern County counsel. We'll talk about the $1.89 billion fund the president, and somebody asked me about this yesterday, or maybe, I guess it wasn't Friday, Thursday, maybe it was probably yesterday. And I said, it's a non sequitur. That money's got to come out of Congress. They can't do this willy-nilly. Well, apparently they can. Almost $2 billion going to a bunch of criminals. And wait till you hear some of the people that are eligible. J6 rioters and what they've been up to since. Wait till you get a load of this. They were a bunch of hoodlums. They were a bunch of thugs. And in the period since then, they have proven it. Wait till you hear some of the track record on these people that are expecting to get money and may get money from the government. You know what it makes me think? Maybe I ought to get in line for reparations. Maybe I ought to become a full-throated supporter of African-American reparations. If you can give it to a bunch of criminals, you can give it to a bunch of people who are the descendants of slave owners. Good Googling, Moogling. Quick time out. We're just getting started on a Tuesday right here on the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk medicine with our friend Dr. Viv Dev. We will have John Cox with his very sneaky and duplicitous California news quiz. We will have state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
You know what I forgot to bring up with Steve Hilton? Have you all seen the brilliant ad that he did with Cassie Biddle, owner-operator, KC Steakhouse? In fact, Mr. Hilton was sitting at my chair at the bar in the ad. But that's beside the point. It's a brilliant ad, and who better to go to than a woman who is so ensconced in our community. She's part of the planning commission. She sat in for me Friday, and she runs an 89-year-old restaurant. It is one of the most iconic restaurants in all of Kern County. She's just absolutely fantastic. And all I'll say about Cassie Biddle is please stand by for some future excursions on her part. But in the meantime, where would you rather be than 2515 F Street? The capable hands are incredible staff. Best steak in town. Go next door to the Speakeasy Lake Bar, the Stockyard. Haley's there Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. Lottie's there providing music. And of course, Jimmy and Bobby are in the main restaurant Tuesday through Saturday. Where would you rather be than on F Street at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show?
Kern County is hiring its next state assembly member. Let's review the applicants. Applicant 1, Ana Palacio. Top funders, Sacramento Special Interests spending big to buy her the job. Healthcare plan, $700 billion government takeover that eliminates Medicare for millions of seniors and gives control of our healthcare decisions to Sacramento politicians. Pretty radical. There's no way we can afford Ana Palacio. Applicant 2, Andre Gonzalez. Experience, elected to the Bakersfield City Council. Record, addressed housing affordability and brought jobs to Kern County. Healthcare plan, expand access and bring a medical school to Kern County. Accountable to Kern County voters. Oh, easy choice. Vote for Andre Gonzalez for state assembly. Kern County's voice every time. Ad paid for by Keep California Golden. Ad committee's top funders, California Association of Realtors, Alliance of California's Farmers and Ranchers, and California Building Industry Association. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
Lunch was great, but this traffic is awful.
Can we stop at a bathroom?
Are you all right?
I keep having stomach issues after eating, like diarrhea, gas and bloating, abdominal pain, and sometimes oily stools.
Sound familiar? Those stomach issues may actually be a pancreas issue called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. Creon pancrelipase may help manage EPI. Creon is a prescription medicine used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall. If you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. Call 800-633-9110 or visit creoninfo.com to learn more. That's CREONinfo.com.
I'm asking my doctor about EPI and if Creon could help.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Deborah Harry. You didn't even notice that I went sans Band-Aid today.
Oh, I did notice.
Letting it breathe just a little bit.
I want to point it out just in case.
Can you guys see that? What do you point it out? Like you can't see it?
Again, I don't know. I just
Can you
wanna
see
say,
it? I
Hey,
can't.
you're not wearing the Band-Aid today. What the
Yeah,
hell?
just letting it breathe a little bit. Put a little Aquaform. I think that's what it's called. Aquaform on it. Just letting it breathe a little bit. Just a little bit. They're not dissolvable stitches. I wish they were dissolvable stitches. I mean, my dad used dissolvable stitches. Ever tell you the story of my dad? It's one of the closest moments me and my father ever had. I was pass blocking, and a guy forearm shivved me in the helmet, and my helmet came down and cut across this right underneath my eye. And I didn't even know I was cut. And I took off. It happened to be a timeout the next play. And I walked away from the huddle. I picked up my helmet and I wiped my face. And I looked down and I was like, my arm, I'm bleeding. And they were like, no, fool, it's from your face. I was like, what? And I could feel the thing. And they kind of patched it up. I finished the game. John Landau was our running backs coach. Do you know who John Landau is? The late John Landau?
God, the name sounds really familiar.
His parents were involved. He was an SC student at the time. He had graduated. In fact, he was a great athlete. He was a little guy, a little Jewish guy, about 5'9". And he was such a great athlete. Brentwood High School has an award for the athlete of the year that's named the John Landau Award, which was named way before he became famous. You don't know him, but he's famous. Landau, so he gets into the industry, and through his parents, he meets James Cameron. He meets all these people. In other words, he was the associate producer. He was one of the producers on, look him up and read his credentials. I think he was a part of Titanic. He was a part of like 3 of the biggest
the name
films.
Sounds very familiar.
It's spelled Jon.
Yeah.
Jon
Yeah.
What read
Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah.
What else?
Titanic. Capturing Avatar. Solaris.
He's involved in some of the biggest movies in the history of television. Alien.
Beyond Glory.
And this was my running backs coach at Brentwood High School. And like I said, the athlete of the year gets the John Landau Award trophy because he was one of these incredible overachievers. He's one of the best running backs at the high school at the time. He was 5'9". Granted, it was 8-man football. I hear you. But he played basketball. He was a horrible baseball player. But he was our coach. Anyway, so he patches it up. Gave me all this love for finishing the game, and came home. My dad stitched it up for me in the living room, and it was just, I don't know, it was one of those father-dad moments. Boy, sit still before I poke out your eyeball. And he stitched it up for me and put in some dissolvable stitches. These are not dissolvable. I've got to go back to the ladies at Bakersfield Dermatology and Skincare on Friday. Teresa Golden's going to join us in just a minute. I was going to get into Thomas Massey, but I started talking about my favorite topic, Ralph Bailey. But Thomas Massey is going to lose in Kentucky, and he's an outlier. He's not Dr. Bill Cassidy, who lost his Senate seat because of Donald Trump. He's not John Cornyn. Massey had an 85% voting record with Trump. But most importantly, he fought him on the big, beautiful bill. Now, there's a difference. I think it's totally within bounds for a president to go after someone in your party if you're not part of the agenda. You know, it would be like a Democratic senator voting against Obamacare. Obama would have gone after him politically and tried to get somebody in that's with the agenda. My problem with Trump is when he goes after guys like Bill Cassidy, who's with him 100%, or Liz Cheney, who's with him 97%, and these people that are on board, and you just have a petty rivalry with them and want to get away from them for personal reasons. But Massey's different. He went against the grain, and if you're against the party and you voted against the big, beautiful bill, you shouldn't be shocked if you get targeted. We'll see what happens. He's polling well with young people, not so well with our set. So I predict the defeat there. It's a Tuesday. So Teresa Goldner joins us next. I can't walk. Hey. Gowdy. Yes.
Kern Radio.
Yes.
News Talk 96.1.
And I was on a roll. I was averaging like almost 6,000 steps a
With
day.
SRN News,
It really
I'm Keith
was.
Peters in Washington.
Yes, ma'am.
President Trump has endorsed Texas Attorney General.
Yeah, we're going to try to
Ken
get,
Paxton,
so we get a frontal shot.
supercharging his effort to oust incumbent Senator
What's that? What
John
do you mean?
Cornyn in a Republican
Because I saw
runoff.
the show when I was gone,
Paxton and Cornyn
and I
qualified
saw
for the May
Cassie
26
interview
runoff
Bentley
after a March 3rd
with the
primary.
profile. It just didn't
Trump
look,
wrote on
it just didn't
social
look right.
media that Paxton is a true MAGA
shouldn't-
warrior.
That's my biggest
Federal
problem with these young
authorities say the
reporters.
teenagers
They
who
do
killed
live
3 people
shots
at a San Diego
side by
mosque met
side,
online and shared a broad
right?
hatred toward
So
different
yes,
religions
and you
races.
see this. What
Mark
you're supposed to
Brevely, the
do
FBI
is
said
you're supposed to be in
Tuesday
front
that
of them,
authorities have
and they're
uncovered
behind
writings
you,
by the
right?
suspects.
They're behind you when you
Authorities have
start.
also
You say,
recovered
"Oh, I'm Ralph
30
Bailey. I'm live
firearms and
at
a
Kern Radio,
crossbow from 2
and
residents
I'm talking
searched
with
in
Teresa
connection
Goldner."
to the
And then you
investigation.
turn, and then the
On
camera
Wall Street,
focuses
the Dow
on
down by
them.
322 points.
You don't want to see the reporter. You want to see the reporter.
News.com.
No. You want to see the topic. It's about you. It's about Teresa Goldner. So
probably
they
heard
shoot
all-
that, and then when you're
Kern
done,
Radio.
then you
News
turn
Talk
around and they pull out
96.1
again,
and AM
and when you
1230.
finish. But if you do it side by side, you get both your profiles.
Headlines from the KERN
It's a horrible shot.
newsroom.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
I'm Chris Davis.
After I
Former
pick a
Kern
bone with
County
you.
Sheriff's Office Sergeant
I have to
Ryan
pick a bone with
Dunbier
you
pleaded
first.
not guilty
Yes.
Monday to the accusations that he
That's
stole 3 meth pipes from the
We can make
property
it look
room
like
at
a
the
big
sheriff's office and took them
'cause that's
home
good
to
radio.
smoke the residue.
But what are we talking
He
about?
is due back in court August 6th for a
Redistricting?
preliminary hearing. That incident ended his
Which
career
one?
back in January.
Ooh,
The
that's
identity of a
good.
man who died in custody. That man died
How
not
can he
long
do
after
that?
being
Can
arrested
he
in
do that?
Delano back on May 9th.
I thought
says
you had
a
to get
report
money from
from the
Congress.
Kern County Coroner's Office. 36-year-old Anthony Joseph Francisco of Delano was arrested at Cecil Avenue and Kensington Street in Delano, but later
Really?
went unresponsive according to that
But
report.
these are
The cause
criminals.
and manner of death still have not been determined. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN
What are
newsroom with
NGOs?
news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General
So here we
Surgeon,
go,
Dr.
back and
Roland
forth,
Rodriguez,
tit for
client
tat.
and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate
just a horrible
all
way
of
to run
my
a country.
absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred
Mark
a number
Cuban
of my
was
colleagues
in-
to
he's
Paul
a liberal
Sheldon's
Democrat.
office,
He was in the
only
White
to
House today. They're
receive the
talking
most
about
stellar
lowering the price
feedback
of
from my doctor
prescription
friends
drugs.
regarding the office's
Like, isn't that
expert
shit
navigation
important?
to the
That's the
complex
kind of thing
maze
that makes
that
a
is
difference in
Medicare.
people's
And even though
lives.
Paul Sheldon
You know,
himself is now
exactly.
facing
Do
some
something for me that I
temporary
can't
health
do for
challenges,
myself.
his
Like, look,
long-standing and most
they're going
experienced
to
and
call it
expertly
Trump
trained team of
RX, of
ladies,
course.
Christine, Kelly,
But they've-
and Lynn
yes.
continue to masterfully guide
Trump
clients
drugs.
to the
I'm
complicated
calling
world of
Trump
medicine.
RX.
You
It's
most
funny.
definitely could
But,
not possibly do any
but
better
yeah,
than
they're-
to reach out to Paul Sheldon
Mhm.
several months before turning 65. Thank you.
But they are lowering the price. I don't know how they're doing it, and how Cuban is involved, but they are coming together to lower the price of drugs. That's a good
It's
thing.
4 a.m. Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right
Well, it'll
seat.
be interesting because
Show
one of the
them you
guys
love
that's
them. Keep
eligible
them safe.
is
Visit
Andrew Paul Johnson.
nhtsa.gov/the-right
Do you know where Andrew
Brought to
Paul
you by the
Johnson is
National
right
Highway
now?
Traffic Safety Administration.
He's in
and the Ad
prison.
Council.
He
Hey
is.
folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program.
I don't know. He
You are
molested
listening to the
kids,
Ralph Bailey
and
Show right here on News Talk
he lured them in
96.1
by
and
saying
AM
he was going to be a
1230
millionaire.
KERN.
Look what he gets from Trump. Just saying. It's a Tuesday, and that means our former federal magistrate judge and former Kern County Council, Teresa Goldner, is live in studio. How are you, Judge?
I'm doing great. How are you, Ralph?
I'm outstanding.
Feels weird to be sitting here like this. Am I supposed to turn and look at you like that?
I would look at the camera. Talk to the listeners.
Uh-oh.
There
Hi.
you go. Yeah, talk to them. You don't have to look at me.
But this is our conversation, right?
True.
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm out the Band-Aid.
Oh, you're looking good.
Yeah.
You really are, Ralph. I mean that.
It's so funny when people say that. Everybody's been saying that. It's very kind. Thank
do.
you. Thank you. Thank you. But
I
I'm
have- Well,
I know what y'all are trying to say. Given
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah.
It takes a while. I want to tell you that.
and the
I know
bump is gone. The bump is gone.
Yeah,
the lymphoma.
the boop is
The
gone.
lymphoma.
The lymphoma.
Yes.
I wanted to tell you that I know that you went to Bakersfield Dermatology, right?
I did.
They are superb.
Yes, they are.
I have been to Bakersfield Dermatology. I had a little bump.
Yeah.
Little tiny bump. And it turned out to be skin cancer. So they had to go
Ooh.
in and dig it out.
Mhm.
And it took, I was in there for several hours. I don't know how long you were in there
40
for.
minutes.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Boom,
really?
boom, boom.
Wow, they really got yours out fast.
I fell asleep during the procedure. I swear to God. I swear to God.
Did they knock you out or anything?
No, they
just-
local it and they put a sheet over your face with a hole, obviously,
Yeah.
to get to the thing. And so I had to close my eyes. And at my age, when I close my eyes for longer than 10 minutes, I'm out. I'm out.
Well, that's funny. I had to go. They made me go in that little waiting room, after they're done,
Mhm.
go in the little waiting room, and they test to make sure they get it all out.
Right.
And then they kept saying, Miss Golden, you have to come back in. I had to go back in and do it
Really?
again and again.
Oh,
But
wow.
anyway,
that must have not been pleasant.
do you see any scars?
I do not. Where was it?
Right there.
You can't even
Yeah,
tell.
and that's because Bakersfield Dermatology does such a great job.
They do.
They
They're
really are
wonderful.
like artists, and they do. Did they give you some ointment to put on it?
Yes, Aquaform.
Yes, use that religiously.
Can't you see it shining? You can't see it? I use
Now
it.
I can a little bit.
Yeah,
But
I
if you
put a
use
little
it
on
like
my
they
foot.
say to use it, it works wonders.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then did they tell you to put on there's some kind of little patch that you can put on, silicone or something patch that you can put on to make the scar really go away,
Yeah.
fade it out.
Well, I'll be back Friday. They're taking out the stitches on Friday morning.
Oh, good. Well, they'll tell you about that then, I'm
Yeah,
sure. But
I'm
you're in
sure.
good hands with them.
Yeah,
They're
I love
great.
them. They were great. It was wonderful. I have a bone to pick before we get started. You got something else?
I really like giving gifts to you.
Oh,
I know. You get embarrassed when I bring you
I do.
gifts.
I
But
really do.
I have something for you because
And then I'm going to pick a bone with her.
Okay,
See,
this
now
is
I can't even do it. She's going to give me gifts. I'm going to yell at her.
this is why I do it. So now you can't pick a bone with
Yeah,
me. But I'm happy
yeah.
to pick a bone with you. Anyway, I know you talk about your nephew a lot.
Yes, young Thaddeus.
And what generation is he?
He's 19. You tell
so
me.
he must be a
What generation is he,
is
Chris?
he
He's
a
19.
boomer. He's not a boomer. He's not a Gen X. Is he a Gen Z?
Z, yeah,
Gen
I believe
Z.
so.
Okay, so this is I got one too.
Yeah.
This is for you to use with your nephew.
Slang-o-matic.
It's a slang-o-matic,
Lord.
and it's a generational translator. And if you open it up, you can turn to whatever they're saying, and it will tell you the translation to your generation.
Oh,
and I
really?
guess you must be is Ralph a boomer?
Yes, I'm a
Yes,
boomer.
he's
He's a boomer?
I'm a
Okay,
boomer.
I'm a boomer. I'm barely a boomer, but
I'm
a
barely a
boomer.
boomer too, but I'm a boomer.
Chris, what are you?
Millennial. I'm a millennial.
Oh, you're a millennial. Okay, you're on here too. So you're above a Gen Z.
You can put those headphones on.
And then
if you
above
want.
that,
You don't have to.
that's okay. Above that is a Gen X. So this way, when your nephew talks to you, you just turn to the word that he's saying, and then you can translate it into
Okay, you
boomer
already got
language.
yours open. So let's give us an example. Go
Okay.
to something.
Okay, let's say if he says, if a boomer says right on, what does a Gen X say? It says word. And what does a millennial say? For real.
For real.
And a Gen Z says FR, whatever that means.
For
FR?
real, but shorter.
What is that, FR?
For real.
Oh, FR, for real.
For
Oh,
real.
duh. Okay,
But
see,
they're-
Chris knows
But
that.
they're too quick to.
Okay, so here's another one. If somebody says, if a boomer says whoop-de-doo, Gen X says whatever, a millennial says meh, right, Chris?
Meh?
Meh,
Meh.
M-E-H. I thought
Meh.
that was kind of a Yiddish thing. And then a Gen Z says mid.
Mid.
Does that make sense? Hey, you should probably use this for Chris when you guys talk back and forth.
Yeah, that's a
fun.
great idea. Mhm.
I don't use slang terms that
Anyway,
often.
I use it in good health.
Thank you, Terry. That's very sweet of you.
So
Yeah, I'm not a
now-
big slang man myself. You look ridiculous trying to speak outside of your generation, in my opinion.
I think so. I mean, I don't really know what some of that stuff means, but my daughter is the same as Chris, and I can understand what she's saying, but she doesn't really use slang. Not
I
that
use like old 20th century slang.
much. Like
You
what?
know,
Like geez.
no, I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I use stuff from like the 40s movies and things like that. Like, let's take it on the lamb.
Oh, see,
You
I wouldn't
know.
even know what that meant.
Take it on the lamb.
And remember, I have always been somebody who always misstates things. Like I remember at Jump the Shark,
Jump the shark is a very famous 20th
I didn't
century
know what
term.
that meant, and I misused it one time, and you corrected me.
Yes, it's when a show goes badly. It began with Fonzie on Happy Days when he literally, the episodes were going so badly. That episode where he literally jumped a shark in his leather jacket. I might
Like
add.
a real shark?
Well, it's a fictional series, Terry.
Well, I mean,
but
like in this show, he jumped a real shark?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
See, I don't know where all that stuff comes
And
from.
that's when everybody realized that the show should have been off the air. So anytime a show goes too far, they say it's jumped the shark.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And then you explained to me what jump the broom means. That's a different
Jump the
thing.
broom is a cultural thing
That's
with
a
black
black
folks.
thing
That
for
is
weddings, right?
Yes.
That's
Back
what
in
I thought.
Africa, they would jump over a broom to get married.
But I'm always getting corrected because I am always getting sayings backwards or wrong. Or
Do you know what
something.
our Hebrew friends do?
Yiddish.
No, but what they do at what is their
They
marriage?
break the glass.
They break the glass. That's
Absolutely.
exactly right.
Oh, I know what that is. Broke the glass at my wedding. Well, my husband broke the glass at our wedding.
Oh, I keep forgetting. That's right. I knew that.
Yes,
I knew that.
I'm Catholic, but he's Jewish.
I knew that.
We had a little combo ceremony.
That would have been controversial about 50 years ago, 60 years ago.
Well, we actually solved the problem because at the time we had just graduated from law school at UCLA, and we went up to San Francisco and got married by the judge on the California Supreme Court that I was clerking for, Justice Frank Richardson. And so he married us in his chambers.
Nice.
And it was a very small ceremony. It was just my family, Barry's family, and our BFFs, and the judge and his staff, and it was wonderful.
That's how I've always wanted to do it.
It was a great way to do it.
I really have.
Yeah.
Or in somebody's backyard.
It was fun.
I never wanted like a big church wedding.
Afterwards,
How did you raise your daughter?
We raised
Did she
her.
have a bar mitzvah?
She had the bar mitzvah that ate Bakersfield. We had a big whoop-de-doo at our house in the front yard with a bull, like a mechanical bull. It was a
Really?
country western theme.
Oh my
We had
God.
line dancing. We had all
You
that
got
stuff.
your 13-year-old daughter an electrical bull?
No, mechanical. Yeah, I guess
Mechanical,
it
electrical,
was.
I don't
Yes,
care.
it was electrical.
Good googly
Well,
moogly.
we were doing the theme thing, and I didn't have a budget at the time, so.
Oh, you
I
had a
sort of
budget,
went
all right.
crazy.
Yeah, you had a budget. Endless. Endless
It was a
was
lot
the
of
budget.
fun. It was really fun. We had a good time.
I broke my mother's heart. I went to Jim Stein's bat mitzvah, first time ever. I'm 13 years old.
In
Suddenly,
LA,
suddenly going to this private school after going to Joey Gonzalez Elementary, and I go to Jim Stein's 7th grade. I go to Jim Stein's bat mitzvah, and I had never seen anything like it. It was in this huge church on Wilshire Boulevard, and he had to do what he had to do, and then we went back to his house, and I was just like, I came home and I told my Catholic mother, "Can we be Jewish?" And I thought she was going to cry. And I was like, well, Sammy Davis is.
That's true.
He's Jewish. Why can't we be
You
Jewish?
can be black and be Jewish.
My birthday's coming up this summer. I want a bar mitzvah.
Except if you do that, then you have to give up Christmas.
Yeah, but you get Hanukkah. You get 8 days of presents.
Yeah, but you get
That's a pretty good deal.
You get 8 days of little presents, not
Yeah.
like big giant presents.
Did
Little
you
itty bitty
guys
ones.
celebrate both
Well,
Hanukkah and Christmas?
Because I'm Catholic, we do Hanukkah and Christmas.
Every year you do both.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Well, not
With
really
the star
every-
and the whole bit?
Do the whole thing, yeah.
The candles?
Candles, the
Wow.
menorah, we do the whole thing. It's all
Look
fun.
at you.
I know, but we don't really do the 8 presents anymore. But when our daughter was little, we used to
Okay.
all
okay.
the time. So she liked it. But
Wow, that's exciting. That's interesting.
we had it. We always had a Christmas tree. Of course, some people call that a Hanukkah bush if you're Jewish.
A Hanukkah bush. That's funny.
But I
That's
always
a good line.
I think of Christmas at our house. Christmas is more of just a Santa Claus kind of thing as opposed to a religious
Yeah.
thing. So it didn't conflict too much.
Okay. All right. Let me get to the bone real quick.
Yes.
I want to elaborate since you brought gifts and you're so pleasant this afternoon.
I'm trying very hard to be pleasant.
But I
this
had to,
afternoon.
I don't know why I was watching last Tuesday's show. There was a reason, Chris, and it had nothing to do with her, but there was a reason. Something else happened in the show that I wanted to watch. I ended up watching almost the entire show, which I've never really done. And I got back, almost separated the audio. We got into the discussion of Cynthia Zimmer,
Yes.
Open Door Network. And
You're talking about you and I when we
yes,
had our show?
yes. And you said you thought I was compromised or I was biased because of Lawrence Skidmore.
I did say that.
You did say that.
I did say that. I did.
I know you don't realize it because I adore you and I think you care for me. I know that.
I
But you really don't know how insulting that is.
Really?
Yes. At 63 years old, after 40 years in communications, after 20 years as a reporter, 22 years as a radio talk show host, for anyone to imply that I would take on the district attorney of my county, a woman who prosecuted a man who punched me in the face 2 times, that I would take her on either because of my friendship with somebody, or because she's a pretty young girl, or just because of my relationship with her, basically says I'm a bad reporter.
No,
Because
Ralph,
if you
that
let
way.
me finish, if you as a talk show host or as a reporter form an opinion based on your friendship with somebody, all that you've been taught as a journalist has gone right out the window.
Well, I apologize. I apologize
I
for
would
offending
never,
you.
I would never, ever, I would never, ever, 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 ever form an opinion based on my relationship with somebody in the situation. I think what Cynthia Zimmer was wrong. I may be wrong. You have your opinion. I have my opinion. I think it was vengeful. I think she was on Lauren Skidmore, Christina Scrivener's team, and blood is thicker than water. And it's almost human nature to want to go after somebody who you feel is basically going after your nephew. I may be wrong about that, but that's how I feel. And it's not a great thing for me to say that. It's not a great thing for a radio talk show host to go after the top cop in the community and say bad things about her, because I'm sure, and I could, particularly given the fact that I shared a wonderful relationship with this woman, and right now she probably can't stand me. So I would never roll the dice with all of that because of a pretty face.
Oh, I did not mean it like that. I did not mean that you were biased in favor of Lauren Skidmore because she has a pretty face. I did not mean
Or
that.
even just the nature of our friendship.
Okay,
For whatever
okay.
reason that I would be biased.
One of the things that I am, first of all, I apologize.
Thank you. I accept your apology.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. I'm very keen on trying to be aware of biases that I have, because as a judge, you know, I know that everybody walks around with biases in their
Sure.
life. It's based on their experiences.
That's why I've always said there's no such thing as objectivity.
Right. I mean,
You can be fair,
yes,
but there is no such thing as objectivity.
I think everybody filters whatever information that they get in their life through their own lenses.
Through their own culture, their
Right.
how they were raised, their
Right.
life experiences. You're exactly right.
And a lot of times you don't even know you're doing it. Most of the
Yeah.
time you don't even know you're doing
Yeah.
it. And that's why, like, when you're doing voir dire as a judge, you know, you're trying to get out those biases that people might have that they don't realize that they have. So that's kind of a big deal to me when I
Me
think
too.
that.
And
So
that's why I'm so sensitive to it.
I get it.
Because as a journalist, you are trained
To be objective.
specifically not to get caught up in that. And so to say that I got caught up in that is
I'm
to
not-
basically say you're a failed journalist who
No, Ralph,
couldn't
Ralph,
work for the
Ralph.
LA Sentinel.
I'm not saying you got caught up in it. I wanted to just ask you, do you think you had any kind of a bias?
No, I really don't. I really don't.
Okay, well,
I
that's
really
good.
don't.
That's good. One of the things I used to
Now, I
do-
don't think you could say the same
Probably
because
not.
you are a former part of county government.
Probably not.
You have a
Probably
strong
not.
relationship with Ms. Zimmer. And as I joked, I don't know if you heard it, but I joked on Thursday before I left. I said, you know, I was stupid to think that Teresa was going to criticize the DA, because can you imagine if she had criticized the DA when she got home? Barry would be in the front yard standing there. Have you lost your mind?
He'd get over it.
He would not be happy.
If
He
I
would
thought,
not be happy
if I
with
thought that the district attorney did something that was wrong, I would say so.
He still wouldn't be happy with it.
That's okay. He's used to that. But one of the things, when I first went on the bench, I was a Superior Court Commissioner.
Mhm.
And one of the things that they used to make court commissioners do all the time is family law. And so family
Ooh,
law.
I've heard that's the worst.
Family law, you know, they say in criminal law, you have bad people that are acting their best in court. And
Yeah.
in family law, you have good people that are acting their worst in
Yes,
court.
I
And
have
so
heard that is the worst
you get
gig
some-
you could get.
you get a lot of, I mean, I've done hundreds of wild kind of family law cases. And one of the things that I always used to do, and I still, you know, try to think about it, but I don't, you know, I'm not a judge anymore, so I don't
Yeah.
worry about it, is right before I would make a ruling about, you know, who's going to have custody or what the visitation is going to be or how I'm going to do that, I look at both people and I say to myself, if she was a he and he was a she and they switched places, would I make the same decision?
Ooh,
Or
that's
am
pretty good.
is there anything about the decision that I'm making because of some unspoken, unrealized bias that I might have in the back of my head?
Because
And
the
I would do
bias
that
is,
every time.
and the bias is normally toward the mother in those cases, correct?
Yes, usually. Most
Yeah.
people think that, you know, the child's best interest is with the mother, but that's not true.
That's not always true. Yeah,
So,
yeah, you're right.
you know,
Okay.
I kind of got a habit of doing that. But no, you're right. You're right. I know Cynthia Zimmer. Am I friends with Cynthia Zimmer? I'm friendly with Cynthia Zimmer.
Me too. Or I used to be.
I think
I
you
wouldn't call
probably still are.
I doubt it.
But I respect her. I admire her. I think she's done a great job as a district attorney.
I do too.
I knew her back when she was a baby lawyer.
I did too. I knew
long
when she
time
was
ago.
a deputy DA.
Yes, and
During the Green era and during the Jagels era.
right. So I feel like I've been around her a long time.
Me too.
Do we go to dinner together? Do we hang out together? No, we don't
Same
do
thing.
any of that.
Same thing.
But I do. You're right, though. I probably am.
And you see her at events. You know, we all go to the same events.
Correct.
You know, there are 4 or 5 or 6 events a year that we all kind of.
But if you ask me a question about her, and I think that a decision that she made in her capacity as the district attorney was wrong, if I think it was contrary to the law or whatever it is, I still feel like I have that judge brain where I can be objective and apply the law to a set of facts and come up with my opinion or my conclusion about it.
And that's exactly how I felt. I can still put on my journalism hat.
Correct.
And be fair, not objective, but be fair and analyze this. And I don't want to retry the thing, but I just I will never understand why they let her go, which is fine, and then spoke badly of her after they let her go. I've just never seen that in employment.
Mm-hmm.
Once you fire somebody, you fire them. You raise your hands, you wash your hands of them, and you're done.
Do you think it had anything to do with the fact that this is a public agency and a public official and a public contract and everything played out in the public eye, as opposed to?
Yes, but as the top cop, you got to be above that. You take those hits. That's part of the job. You take those hits and you just move along. You move along. Okay, let's get into redistricting.
Is that the end of the bone?
That's it.
Oh,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I told you it wasn't a big deal.
Okay.
Are we doing the slush fund?
You want to do? Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay.
I don't know that much about it. Tell me what you know, and I'll tell you what I think.
Well, somebody you know more than I do, because somebody called in asking me about it, and I said, well, it's unconstitutional. They've got to get this money through Congress, so it's all much ado about nothing. It's just Trump blustering. And then I saw Todd Blance, the acting Attorney General, before Congress this morning from the Appropriations Subcommittee, and they are going forward with this. They're going to get $1.89 billion to give to what they've given them a cute little nickname. Have you heard this?
Weaponization
the J6ers. Well, no, the rioters themselves. They call them the J6ers. I'm like, they're felons who put democracy in jeopardy. They stormed the Capitol. I mean, I just think it's one of the worst days in American history. I remember sitting there watching that.
And these are all people, though, as my understanding, I didn't read anything about it other than I just briefly, as I walked in here, I was trying to read something on the internet about it. But it's my understanding that these are people that got pardoned by Trump for the most part.
Yes.
A lot of them got pardoned. Others, I don't know if they were convicted and their convictions got set aside somehow, or if they're still convicted felons or not.
Yes, some of them are. Some of them are in prison.
There's a lot of them, I know. But this is not the first time this has happened. My understanding is that this money is coming out of a fund that's in the budget at the Department of Justice, which is the Attorney General's office there,
right.
And that they can control this fund, and that it doesn't require Congress to come in and approve it at this point because it's already in their budget.
You're absolutely right.
But this is part of my understanding is that it's part of the settlement of Trump's lawsuit against the United States
and the IRS,
for leaking his tax returns.
Yeah,
for allowing that person to get in there and then get them,
which was wrong, which was incredibly wrong.
Correct. But I always wondered how, speaking of biases and conflicts and things like that, if you're in charge of the DOJ and you want to be the next Attorney General and not just the acting Attorney General, how do you evaluate whether or not you want to buy into a settlement that's going to end up with that kind of money in favor of the president's supporters?
Thank you.
I mean, that's a little tough. I would like to know how Todd Blanche did that, how he thought about it at least. But I think that puts a little bit of a kind of funny flavor on that one. And
it's $2 billion at a time where, what is it? 2/3 of Americans can't come up with $1,000.
That's a lot.
Gas
of money.
prices right here, $6 a gallon.
That's right.
I mean, people are hurting, and you're going to give criminals $2 billion, and they're saying anybody can apply, and they're using Hunter Biden as an example. They're like, Hunter Biden, if he feels like he was wrongfully prosecuted, he can apply.
I can tell you.
Yeah, like they're going to give Hunter Biden a nickel.
I can tell you that the DOJ has done this many times before.
Yeah.
They did it in the Biden administration. They did it in previous presidential administrations. The DOJ does have control over a certain settlement fund, and the amount goes up and down, of course, every year based on what their budget is. But they can decide when they settle cases, they can decide how much money they want to pay out of that fund for that settlement. And a lot of my understanding is
Who are
that,
they funneling it to? That's what's important.
right. My understanding is that during the Biden administration, it came out later that a lot of these settlement funds ended up going to NGOs, non-governmental organizations that ended up supporting the Biden administration and things that the Biden administration wanted to do. So
That
a little
is
bit of
correct.
a workaround,
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
It's-
So is that right?
No,
I don't think
no.
so.
And now that's the nature of our government in the 21st century. It's tit for
Kind of
tat.
crazy.
If you're going to do that, we're going to, Michelle Obama said it. She was wrong, but she said it. When they go low, we go lower. And that's what's going on now.
I thought she said when they go low, we go high.
No.
She
Didn't
said
she
that?
say we go low, we go lower? I thought she said
No, I
that.
thought she said when they go low, we go high.
I thought she said
Maybe.
the
I
opposite.
don't know. I could be
Well,
wrong.
anyway. Well, that's what's happening.
Yeah,
that
that's-
it's just tit for tat.
I think
we
that's
saw it with the redistricting. We're seeing it with this, and it's just like, well, what about? What about? What about?
It's all about what about, right?
Yeah.
I think
just-
that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I just Andrew Paul Johnson is a child molester who is in jail, who the DOJ says recruited children by saying, "I'm going to be a millionaire" from the Trump administration.
Oh boy.
And he was
Good
a
luck with
J6er.
that. Well, we'll see how much money he gets. I think that when someone has a claim against the government, whether it's the state government or the local government or the federal government, they need to file a claim. Their claim needs to be objectively analyzed by somebody.
I was going to say, who is going to be the judge in all of this?
Well, according to what I read on my way in the door today, they're going to have some kind of a committee that's going to evaluate it, the validity of some of these
That
claims.
Blanche is going to put together.
I think so. But I don't know who's going to be on it. Maybe I should apply. You should apply.
You should
Maybe we
apply.
be on that.
No, I could never be. But you as a judge could certainly.
I would love to. I'd love to be able to call BS on some of these claims and
Yeah.
say, no, that guy does not deserve any money. But I think that when people have claims against the government, of course, you can settle a case. For example, when I was county council many years ago, we had certain amount of money that I was authorized to approve for settlements when people filed claims. But we had an investigator in our office that went out and completely investigated those claims and then brought them to me to decide whether or not I thought that the county was liable for these things up to a certain amount. And then I could go ahead and approve a settlement up to a certain amount.
Right.
Other than that, I'd have to go to the Board of Supervisors. And if I didn't want to do that, or if the Board of Supervisors rejected the settlement, then of course it goes to court and then the jury decides. But the whole idea behind it is to try to be efficient in settling claims where the government is liable.
Yeah.
And so if there's a legitimate basis for believing that these are legitimate claims, that the government, if the person had sued, would end up with a judgment against the government, hopefully you can save time and money and attorney's fees by settling these cases.
Yeah. I got 2 minutes. I'm going to let you go with this. What did you think of Alex Murdaugh and Becky Hill, the county clerk, destroying his conviction, and the man who was convicted of murdering his wife and his son gets a retry?
I think it's atrocious. I thought it was atrocious when I heard what she did, because I remember when Murdaugh's lawyers made motions for new trials at the end of that trial and cited what she did.
And you had to know they were going to win.
Yes.
You had to know that. We said that. I mean, you didn't have to be past the bar to know that.
And the judge kind of blew it off.
Yep.
I was really surprised that she did that. But you know what? The latest thing I read
What's that?
I subscribe to this legal magazine called Above the Law. He has sued her now. Alex
Who has? Murdaugh sued the judge?
No, has sued Becky, the clerk.
Oh, yeah, for $600,000.
Sued her.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, that's a little premature, I think.
No, I like it. I like it. We played the audio from the two attorneys
did?
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. They're
Well,
going after him.
Well, I mean,
Because they got to get paid too,
Well, but okay, if he gets tried again and he gets convicted again, he's going to end up in the same place. So where's his damages? That's what I'm wondering.
She destroyed the system.
Yes.
She denied him justice.
She denied him justice.
And she's going to be a millionaire. This book that she's written, that's where they're going to get.
They pulled the book.
Oh, they pulled the
They
book?
pulled the book.
Oh, that's the
book-
best news I've heard all
the
day.
book
I didn't know
The
that.
book got put. The book got put.
How do you
book
pull
got
a book?
pulled. They just pulled it
Just the
from
publisher? It
publication.
has to be the publishing
The
company.
publisher pulled
Yeah,
it
had to be the
because
publishers.
I think the main reason is because of allegations of plagiarism in the book.
Wow.
That's the reason why they did it.
She's a peach.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
Becky Hill. She certainly is a peach. Teresa Golder, everybody. Wow, I didn't know that. She is a piece of work. Good God Almighty. So you get a chance to make $1 million and you plagiarize it? What the hell did she plagiarize?
News this hour from Town Hall.
What did she plagiarize? Another
The
book on
suspect in the
Murdoch?
California mosque attack may have had a shared hatred.
Federal authorities say 2 teenagers who killed
Well, that makes
people at a
sense
San
because you'd have
Diego
to be a
mosque
moron
met online
to have
and
that great
shared a
job and
broad
screw it up.
hatred
Because
towards
those county
victims,
clerks make decent
religions,
money, don't
and
they?
races. Hours before the
She
attack,
should have.
police were
She
racing
still
to find
should.
2 teenagers who would
Is-
ultimately
yeah.
be deemed responsible
That's
after the
it?
mother of one called police saying her son was suicidal and had run away. Police Chief Scott Wall credits the heroic efforts of a security guard who called in an
They should have
alert
strung her
even
up.
as he was engaged
just
in a gun battle,
and what would
with
be your motive?
preventing the attackers from getting any further. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
At a press
Well, I
briefing
understand the
today,
book,
Vice
but why would
President
you want to
J.D.
tamper with the
Vance was
jury?
asked about the
It was
situation
an
between
open
the
and shut
United
case.
States and Iran.
Vice
Just get out of the way.
President J.D. Vance at the
You
podium,
want to turn off?
substituting for Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt in the White House briefing
Hang
room
on, hang on,
as
hang
she
on.
continues her maternity leave. A debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important.
Are
to
you
me.
serious?
Credit card debt has you down. Call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
Thank you.
Artificial
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
The identity of a man who
All right.
died in
All right,
custody.
see you next
I'm
week.
Chris Davis. That man died not long after being arrested in Delano back on May 9th, says a report from the Kern County Coroner's Office. 36-year-old Anthony Joseph Francisco of Delano was arrested at Cecil Avenue and Kensington Street in Delano, but later went unresponsive, says the report. That happened shortly after 3:30 p.m. that day, and he was pronounced dead at the hospital. The cause and manner of death still have not been determined. This one is a bit rough in case you have kids in the car. A likely sentence of life in prison with no parole awaits 31-year-old Pablo Garcia Perez, who was convicted Monday of the repeated sexual abuse of a 14-year-old family member, which was first reported to police back in 2022. His convictions include aggravated kidnapping with the intent to rape, exhibiting harmful matter to a minor, possession of child pornography, forcible lewd touching of a child, and continuous sexual abuse of a child. He will be sentenced June 16th. Former Kern County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Ryan Dunbeer will be back in court August 6th for a preliminary hearing after pleading not guilty Monday to charges that he stole 3 meth pipes from the evidence room at the sheriff's office to smoke the meth residue left in them. Some of the evidence against him includes video surveillance and the pipes themselves found during a search of Dunbeer's house in January. The river fire that is burning at the mouth of Kern Canyon is now about 15% contained, according to the latest report from CAL FIRE. So far, it has burned about 2,500 acres, and Highway 178 is still closed in the canyon area. The wood fire near Keene is now about 20% contained and has burned about 200 acres, say Kern County firefighters. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
To the rest well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 19th day of May. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. And don't forget, the Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks for all your IT needs. Call the folks at Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638 or hit them online, excuse me, at adaptive-net.com. We still got lots to do in the program. We'll talk a little bit more about the $1.8 billion fund. Carolyn Levitt, the press secretary, one of the best press secretaries I've ever seen. She really is impressive. I mean, it's hasn't been that long from the Haitian lesbian who literally, Chris, literally used to go through a booklet. So ask me a question, Chris.
Like any question, period. What color is your booklet?
My booklet is yellow. It is a Stinson legal pad provided by my good friend Ben Stinson, who once gave me Dodger tickets. He's a wonderful man. Next question.
What color is the flag behind you?
That flag is the United States American flag, and it is red, white, and blue. It has 50 stripes. It has 13 stars commemorating the 13 colonies. And J.R. Flores, the program director here at Channel KERN, brought it in here for looks and background. Next question. And that's exactly how she would do. She would just go through her booklet and read the answers. Like literally read her answers. It was incredible. And that's why she's not a member of the Democratic Party, because nobody was going to hire her. She was completely and totally incompetent. And so she became an independent. Like, how many times have you ever seen that literally in your life? Most press secretaries, Kayleigh McInerney, Sarah Huckabee is a governor of a state. Ari Fleischer is a regular television correspondent. All of these people, the redhead from the Biden administration, I used to call her Peppermint Patty, Jen, whatever. She's got a show on MSN Now. It's unheard of. Sean Spicer, who was a horrible press secretary, even he's got a show on Newsmax. It's unheard of for you to be seen on television just about every day from the White House, and then you just disappear in oblivion. Has anybody heard from Corinne Jean-Pierre? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? No, because nobody wants to have anything to do with her because she was dishonest. She was part of the cabal that said, not only is Joe competent, I can't keep up with him. He's running around the White House. He has entered into a 5K. He's doing push-ups in the morning. She not only covered for the man, but she expanded the lie like nobody had ever heard. And so now you come out of this and you're supposed to be a national celebrity with all kind of options, but you're dishonest and you're incompetent. And I'm pretty sure that's a really bad combination. You know what I'm saying? That you can't tell the truth and you're horrible at what you did. But Carolyn Levitt is outstanding. She truly is. But she just had her second child with her old man. And that's not a euphemism. He's an old man. He's like damn near I think he's like 59 years old. I'm not kidding. Hey, good for him because she is gorgeous. Hey, Siri, how old is Carolyn Levitt's husband?
Okay, I found this on the web. For how old is Caroline Levitt's husband?
You couldn't just tell me though, huh? You just couldn't just say he's X amount. You have to look it up now and let my listeners. There is a 32-year age gap. So what's 27 and 32, Chris? 59? He's 59.
Yeah.
More power to you, my brother. 59 with a 27-year-old wife. The girl is 44, and I'm taking victory laps. And he's got somebody in their 20s. Good for him. Anyway, getting back to the radio show. She's gone, and the Trump administration done something interesting where they're sending in members of the cabinet to take care of the press room. It's kind of cool. Rubio did it last week. He was really good. And J.D. Vance, the vice president, did it this morning. And much of the questioning focused around the $1.89 billion fund because it's just a bad look. I mean, I think you can actually make an argument. I don't think for the J6ers, as they're now being called, the rioters, the hoodlums. You know, I mean, let's go back to that day. I know you all don't want to talk about it because a lot of you don't think it was that big a deal because you're part of this Trump mania that is beyond just being a leader. You know, we're now into the world where we're ignoring Ronald Reagan, who once said, the 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican. Now we're in the era where you're okay with Trump going after incumbent Republicans who vote with him, but just do something that he didn't like, which makes absolutely no sense because it makes us vulnerable in the general. Talked about Texas. We're going to lose that seat. As unfortunate as it is that I got to be the one to give you the sulfur instead of the molasses, we're going to lose that seat. And it's going to be the beginning of losing the Senate. Because James Tellerico, a pastor, is going to beat Ken Paxton, who's about to beat John Cornyn because of the endorsement that he received today from President Trump. Back to the press room. Here is J.D. Vance defending the fund.
We're not just writing a $1.8 billion check. We're going to take a lot of people who are going to apply and say that they have been mistreated by their government. We're going to handle those situations case by case. And if we determine they were, in fact, mistreated by their government, we think it's reasonable to give them just compensation. But when you talk about funds and pots of money that are out there, I mean, thanks to Donald Trump's leadership and the working families tax cut, we put $40 billion into a rural healthcare fund in order to stop the closure or at least prevent some closure of rural hospitals and rural clinics that had been decimated under the Biden administration. We had a piece of tax legislation that put hundreds of billions of dollars into the pockets of families. No taxes on Social Security, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on tips. So I reject the idea that we can't walk and chew gum at the same time. We can give just compensation to people who are mistreated by the government. We can also make sure that the American people, we do everything that we can to make their lives better, to make them more prosperous, to give them better jobs. That is the primary focus of Donald J. Trump's White House.
Did you see JD check off all the boxes? Remember I told you about a week or two ago that it's become like an obligatory cliche, no matter who in the cabinet speaks, that they have to mention the president's leadership. It doesn't matter. Just start paying attention to it. You'll notice it. It doesn't matter who it is in the cabinet or what they're talking about. I just celebrated my 25th anniversary from my wife. And, you know, the reason we're together is through the leadership of Donald Trump. His leadership has caused me to stay in my marriage. It doesn't matter what they're talking about. They will somehow get to the leadership of the president. It's just been remarkable. And the other one is looking in the rearview mirror and bagging on Biden. Those are the two boxes that you have to check when you give a speech. And it's just, I guess it is what it is. Meantime, the press room, the inside the Beltway press, pressed Vance on the idea of giving money to people who were convicted, J6ers, of committing violence, and in particular, violence against the Capitol Police Department.
What were they accused of? Maybe they did something bad even, but what they were accused of was way worse of what they actually did. Maybe they had their entire lives ruined in a totally disproportionate way. That's fundamentally illegitimate and political. And I find, just here on this point, one of the interesting things about the American media is there is a fascination. If you go to any American law school, there are these, prisoner rights clinics. There are people who objectively committed heinous crimes, but the American media and the American Legal Academy has decided that even though they committed bad crimes, their sentence was disproportionate. They were mistreated in some way. You know who never, ever gets an ounce of sympathy when it comes to that disproportionate sentencing is people who voted for Donald Trump and participated in the January 6th protest.
That's a good point. Actually, that is a cogent point. J.D. Vance is a smart guy. He's an opportunist who once called Donald Trump Hitler, literally, compared him to Hitler, despite, my cliche, stay away from the Third Reich. And he's somewhat a chameleon, as most Trump supporters are in this administration. Marco Rubio, these guys that trashed Trump pre-2016, before he came down, even during the election, that they ran against him. They trashed the guy. They hated the guy. And then all of a sudden, he's a god. Okay, whatever. But that is a good point. That really is a good point, how liberals will go out of their way to reimburse, minority criminals and say it's justice. I just simply have a problem with rewarding those people that acted that way on January 6th. I know a lot of you disagree with me on this, that you didn't think it was that big a deal. But just imagine if a large group of African Americans had stormed the Capitol. You really don't think you'd look at it differently? Really? If I got a bunch of my friends and we all stormed the Capitol and we were screaming, hang J.D. Vance, let us not forget this group of miscreants, this group of somewhat racist white supremacists, because there was a lot of them in there. We're screaming, hang Mike Pence. We're searching for him. That Mike Pence had to literally, I'm not talking about figuratively, literally run for his life with his wife and children in tow. There's the famous video that Democrats will pull up to mock Republicans. I forget, it's not Grassley. I forget who it is, the senator who is running. Earlier in the day, he was out with the rioters like this. And then later in the day, he's seen running through the rotunda, trying to get out of the Capitol. It was a god-awful day. And it was a god-awful event, which saw a Capitol police officer die the very next day. Saw one of the rioters get shot as she was trying to climb through a door where she wasn't supposed to be. This is, in my opinion, one of those collective heinous crimes I've ever seen. As you know, if you're any type of regular listener to this show, I absolutely revere Washington District of Columbia. It is an amazing place to have had the opportunity as a part of Honor Flight to be in the House of Representatives with Kevin McCarthy and now David Valadao and Vince Vaughn, to be where Franklin Roosevelt declared war on Japan, where Daniel Webster sat, where some of the greatest Americans that have ever lived in this country addressed the nation. Is Douglas MacArthur stood where I once stood. I mean, that is mind-boggling to me. And to think that these thugs entered my house, your house, our house, and screaming, hang people, looking for Pelosi, rummaging through people's desks. Now, if the punishment was disproportionate, I suppose you can make an argument for this. Here's final from J.D. Vance in the press room.
Every single case has its own details. Every single case has, there are things about it that maybe don't meet the eye. We're just going to look at every case by case. That's all I'm saying. I'm not committing to giving anybody money or committing to giving no one money. What I'm committing to is a legal process to review these claims and to make sure that people who are mistreated by their government get a little bit of compensation because of it.
J.D. Vance's stock with me is rising. It really is. He sounds like the adult in the room. I'm still split between he and Rubio in terms of 28, but he's really starting to sound like the adult in the room. And remember, and I don't know if he did this strategically or not, so he can say this during the 28 campaign, but J.D. Vance was one of the few voices that when Epic Fury began, he was saying, let's don't do this. Let's just don't do this right now. We have to do this inevitably. I don't know if we want to do this right now. I think we should be focusing on affordability and things like that. Now, I'm surprised that he's still in good stead with the president. Maybe he's not, because he was conspicuously the only one that they did not take to China. Now, he would probably argue, well, in an international event like that, you don't want to stay in one area. What if the Chinese, there's a terrorist attack or something, and the two of us are together and we both get blown up, and then freaking Mike Johnson is the president of the United States? Maybe you can make that argument. I think it's weak. I think there was a reason that JD was left go. I think they looked baiting Trump, weren't really happy with his Islamabad effort when he was doing the peace talks. There's no way in the world you can blame that on him, because I don't think we even know. We'll talk about this in the 5. I don't even know if we know who we're dealing with. Are we dealing with the RIGC? Are we dealing with the Ayatollah's son? Who knows? Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Come right back. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Then we'll have a little fun. Really excited about this. We're going to talk to one of my favorite people, Frances Rosales. She is the wife of Ruben Rosales. They started one of my favorite places in Kern County, Happy Jack's, about 50 years ago on Sunday. They celebrated their anniversary yesterday. Isn't it funny? Not like ha-ha, but funny, naturally peculiar that my 3 favorite restaurants, 4 favorite restaurants, 5 favorite restaurants are all like almost 50, 60 years old. How old is Bill Lee's? I'm going there Saturday night. Casey Steakhouse is damn near 90. Luigi's is turning 116 years old. And Happy Jack's. Last time I was at Happy Jack's, Chris Burdick, Daniel Petrie and I
that's right.
did the chili sides, my favorite. God, I love the chili sides. And then you got to take a piece of pie home. Got to take a piece of pie home. I'll tell you how Happy Jack's played a huge role in my life. We're going to talk with Frances and maybe even Ruben at the bottom of the hour. And then at the 5, we will get into the war. You'll hear from Lindsey Vaughn, who not only walked, but stood up and addressed the graduates at the University of Southern California. She had a really good message facing adversity as she has and is. And the polls have closed in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We'll keep an eye on that and see if Thomas Massey is going down, down, down. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio
Luigi's.
and AM 1230 KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk medicine with our friend Dr. Viv Dev. We will have John Cox with his very sneaky and duplicitous California news quiz. We will have state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
What is your favorite day at Luigi's? And most Luigi's restaurant and Old World Delicatessen patrons know why I ask that, because the specials are different every day. Tuesday's a pretty good day. That's prime rib sandwich day. Today, the roasted garlic chicken. It is outstanding. But you guys know what my personal favorite day is. That's Thursday, when it's the salmon, the candy-coated salmon. But you know, it doesn't matter what day you're at Luigi's. It's a beautiful day in America. I mean, whether you're on the back patio out there by the Bailey Bar or if you're inside, it does not matter. As I've talked about, the warehouse now has been a real, just absolute game changer. I know most of you have been to events in the warehouse, and it is spectacular. The Chateaubriand, the Saco beans. The Valpredo family have simply the most iconic restaurant in Kern County, as I just mentioned, 116 years old. Where would you rather be than Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show?
Kern County is hiring its next state assembly member. Let's review the applicants. Applicant 1, Ana Palacio. Top funders, Sacramento Special Interests spending big to buy her the job. Healthcare plan, $700 billion government takeover that eliminates Medicare for millions of seniors and gives control of our healthcare decisions to Sacramento politicians. Pretty radical. There's no way we can afford Ana Palacio. Applicant 2, Andre Gonzalez. Experience, elected to the Bakersfield City Council. Record, addressed housing affordability and brought jobs to Kern County. Healthcare plan, expand access and bring a medical school to Kern County. Accountable to Kern County voters. Oh, easy choice. Vote for Andre Gonzalez for state assembly. Kern County's voice every time. Ad paid for by Keep California Golden. Ad committee's top funders: California Association of Realtors, Alliance of California's Farmers and Ranchers, and California Building Industry Association. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-1509. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-1509 or biglou.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
My English getting a little better. Just really happened at a bad time. I was on a roll, dude. You know how many steps I've been averaging? Because I'm walking over to Lawson's every night. Like 6,500 a day over the last 8-10 days.
Nice.
Yeah, got to play golf Saturday. I didn't play Sunday with Swaim and the boys. I ended up going out to dinner and got home at like 3 in the morning. So 7 comes very quickly when you get home at 3 in the morning. So I didn't play Sunday. But I'm excited about my golf game right now. I really am. I still need to get the stupid out of my game. You know, they asked a bunch of pros what defines a good golfer, a good recreational golfer. And most of them, some of the idiots said 70s. That's stupid. You're not a good golfer if you shoot in the 70s. You're a stick. You play college golf. You're a stick. Like Sam Brandon, our owner's son.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a stick. You couldn't call him a good golfer. He's a stick. Dude played college. I mean, the dude can hit 300 yards, literally. But then most of them said in the 80s, which is all I've ever wanted to do, bogey golf. If I can play bogey golf, I would still come in and complain on Mondays and bore the hell out of you. But you can live with that. But Colin Marikawa said something. My LA boy, Flint Ridge Prep, my high school rival, said something was really smart. He said, I judge a good recreational player by how many doubles they make. And that's what does me in. That's what does me in. 2 weeks ago or a week ago at Sundale, 5 over going to 17, 5 over going to 17, and I go double. Left it in the bunker on 17, put it in the water on 18. Just don't make no sense. We are headed downtown. Happy Jacks just celebrated their 50th anniversary. We're going to talk to Francis Rosales right after these words.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Senate has advanced legislation that seeks to force President Trump to withdraw from the Iran war. The vote showed the growing number of Republicans defying the president's wishes on the war.
So what time is Cleveland, New York?
Trump ordered the attack on Iran at the end of February. Democrats have
can't be as good as last night. Last night was just fucking. That was such a good game. And then you know when it's a good game when you start. I was rooting for like both teams because I kind of like SGA, but because I don't give a fuck. So I was just I was kind of going back and forth. But at the end, I was rooting for.
Cornyn qualified for the May 26th runoff after a March 3rd primary. Trump wrote on social media
I don't see how they lose.
Paxton
I just
is
don't.
a true MAGA warrior. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 322. More details at SRNnews.com.
You probably
Kern Radio,
and he's not
News
that
Talk 96.1 and AM
defensively
1230,
sound. You know what I mean?
KERN.
Like he can help out a lot more
From
than
the
he does.
KERN newsroom.
I don't know if you even realize.
I'm Chris.
I thought it was smart though, and Reggie
Reggie
Miller pointed out when on the first,
the one that's
I think
burning
it
at the
was
mouth of
in
Kern
regulation
Canyon, is now about 15%
when SGA
contained,
beat his
according to
guy.
Cal Fire. They say it has burned about
And
2,500 acres so far.
Wemby was over
Highway
here
178 is
kind of
still
watching
closed in
the
the
three
canyon
guy.
area.
And
The
then if
wood
you'd
fire
come over to
near Keene
help,
has burned about
it would have been a
300
wide
acres
open
and is
three.
now about
And they were down
20%
2.
contained,
They
say
would have won the
Kern County
game.
firefighters.
But he had the discipline to
31-year-old
stay with his
Pablo
guy
Garcia
instead.
Perez, accused of the
And say,
long-term sexual
we
abuse
can
of a
afford a
14-year-old
tie. I
family
can't
member
let this guy
that
get
happened in a
3.
rural
That
area
was pretty
near
smart.
Auburn back in
That was pretty
2022,
smart.
was convicted Monday and is now facing
But I
a
just think he
likely
could
life
help
sentence
more.
without parole.
I used to say the same
His
thing about
sentencing
Kareem.
is set for June
I used to
16th.
God, like, how do
I'm
you
Chris
not have
Davis in
5
the
blocks a night?
KERN newsroom
You know what I'm
with
saying?
news every half
You're the
hour
biggest
and when it
motherfucker on the
breaks on
court.
News Talk
How can you
96.1
not have 5
and AM
blocks a night?
1230
Every
KERN.
night.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque
What's this?
psoriasis may also develop psoriatic
Does he?
arthritis,
How many
which
does he
causes
average?
joint pain, stiffness, and swelling?
2 or 3?
Does
Yeah.
this sound like you? Listen to
Is it
what
4
it
3?
sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. We will have John Cox with his very sneaky and duplicitous California news quiz. We will have state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
What was the issue?
Everything turned around.
He just heard.
Checking up, so you want to do. If I I could, maybe I'd give.
842-5376, our phone number, 842-KERN. And the folks, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Happy Jack celebrated their 50th anniversary. As I was telling you, Francis told me the anniversary date was actually Sunday. They celebrated it yesterday. And my old boss, Mike Try, he sent his whole crew down there to enjoy it. Some of them not from this area, so it was probably their first time. And they got a lot of publicity. The mayor was there. So we thought we would bring on the Rosaleses to talk and celebrate their 50th anniversary. Francis, thanks for coming on the program.
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking me to.
It is amazing. 50 years. How did you and Ruben get into the restaurant business?
Well, when we got married, his dream was always to own a small little restaurant. And because he used to say big ones were going to be a lot of overhead, a lot of employees.
Yeah.
And so when Happy Jacks came up for sale, we were contacted by his cousin who worked for Watson at the time. And when we had our appointment, there was actually 35 people that wanted to buy it.
35 people
were interested in buying it.
Wow.
But Jack would always, at the very end, he had questions. He had his all the ducks were in order. And the last question he would ask was, do you plan personally to run it, or do you plan to just say you own it and have somebody manage it? Well, most people want it as an investment, and they'd say, yeah, we're going to have somebody run it. But Ruben right away told him, no, if I buy this, if I'm the one that buys this, I will be the one working it. I will do all that. And of course, after talking to us for a while, he found out Ruben used to work for Lorraine and Jack Smith, the original owners where 24th Street Cafe is now, used to be Lorraine's. And that was owned by Lorraine and Jack Smith. And at 17, Ruben started there as a dishwasher, and Lorraine taught him how to bake, how to cook, how to present meals and everything. So that he got hands-on training. Neither one of us ever went to school for running a business or stuff.
And yet,
college education.
50 years of success.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is absolutely remarkable. And one of the signatures of your restaurant is you're always there. You always know you're going to see Francis and Ruben when you go have the chili size or a little piece of pie.
That's true. That's true. They can always plan. Only reason I won't be there, if he has an appointment, we'll slip off for his doctor's appointment.
Sure.
And of course, but you can always count. Ruben shows up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to make the pies. And our son and our grandson now, they make the crust and they rolled out the pies. In fact, I'll give out a shout out if I can to
Absolutely.
my grandson Ryan. Today's his birthday.
Oh, that's
He turned 17, and he is one of the ones that rolls out the pie shelves now too.
Is that right? Wow.
Yes. And of all things, today his picture was in the newspaper too for tennis.
Oh, is that right? Eddie's an athlete.
God, I tell you, yeah. But anyway, getting back to the restaurant, we decided we were going to run it because Jack said, well, who's going to be here? And Ruben said, I will. At that time, Ruben was working for the city of Bakersfield. He was a groundskeeper. And he says, I will give up my job if I am picked for this. So I think when we answered that, because he said, Francis, will you be here? I said, oh, definitely. I said, my grandfather's had a restaurant since before I was born. And we used to be the servers. I was the dishwasher, and my sister was the server. So we've always managed to be in the business some way or the other. And I think he enjoyed our answer because he made us wait 3 months. And then out of the blue, he called and he says, Francis, may I speak to Reuben? So Jack turned around and spoke to Reuben. Next thing I know, we had an appointment at his house for dinner. And when we went after dinner, we had dinner at their house. They went into the living room. We did, all 4 of us. And he had this table there. And he had everything spread out. And he said, I have everything done. And we didn't go through a real estate. That's why he waited so long. He wanted that to get off the listing. And I'm sorry, Jack is passed already, but I am so happy because last year, Mrs. Bowles, she came and her son, and we have stayed in touch. And they live up, I think, Santa Maria area, someplace up there.
Yeah.
And she had been talking about Happy Jacks, different things that she'd remember. And her son told his wife, we're going to take Mom. The son's name is Ray. He says, Ray tells her, we're going to take Mom this week to see Francis and Reuben. And when she walked in, oh my gosh, her mind just, everything came back to her, and it was nice to have her visit. I took pictures with her, and she wasn't very steady on her feet, but you know what? It was nice to have the originals there.
I bet.
Yes.
I bet.
Yes. Yes. And that's how we came up with buying Happy Jack.
Wow. How long was the restaurant in existence before you bought it?
13 years.
13 years?
Said he opened it in 1963.
Uh-huh.
And he never worked it. He actually would go in and put the ingredients for the sauces and the salad dressing, and which everybody loves our salad dressing. And he would put all the ingredients and then the dry ingredients, and then he'd leave the stuff out for his cook to put together.
Right.
And same thing with the pies. He'd put, you know, everything, and you just make the pie dough, and then you'd have the ingredients and what to do with your cream filling. Of course, you know, you end up buying all those recipes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is amazing. Were there ever any hard years where you had to sit down and think maybe we're not going to make it, because you're in the 1 percentile of restaurants that have, the 1% of restaurants last 50 years or more, and half of them break down after a year or two. Were there ever any hard times? You ever think about not doing this?
Well, the first year we said, what did we get into? I'll tell you why. We bought it May 17th on a Monday.
Uh-huh.
And lo and behold, my baby at that time was 3 going on 4. And his sister was 7 going on 8. Michael, our oldest, was 9 going on 10. And a few months later, after opening it, I used to get so sick in the morning. When they put patties down, well, guess what? Mama ended up having number 4 child.
The surprise child.
Yes. And that's why when Rudy was born, we said, oh my God, what did we get into? What did we do? Yes, that was on the first year.
Yeah.
But we said, we can do this. We got in for the hall. We're in for it. And we will continue doing it.
Wow. That's, we're very lucky as a community for that decision. We're talking with Frances Rosales, her husband Reuben, celebrating their 50th anniversary on Sunday. You never thought of changing the name? That was interesting, that you stuck with the name.
You know what? If it works, don't change it.
Ain't that the truth?
And you know what, Ralph? For the first 2 years, people thought we worked for Jack.
Yeah.
Because I didn't work in front. I worked in the back. Because when we met after Jack introduced us to his crew, the first thing I told them, all of you, nobody is being let go. I am not bringing in people and sending you out. You have your jobs. You are welcome to stay and work for us. And if you don't wish to stay, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I am not letting none of you go. And you know what? The crew was great.
Yeah. You're also famous. You have many traditions: the pie, root beer floats, the chili size, which is my personal favorite.
That's your favorite.
That
yes.
is my favorite. You know that. But you're also famous for only cash, no credit cards. Why not leap into the 21st century?
First of all, I don't understand computers and stuff.
Neither do I. Neither do I.
Ralph, when you go in there, you're going into the 60s.
Yeah. It is a
You
throwback.
notice we don't have all this fancy stuff and all that.
Yep.
It's very simple. It's family owned, so you'll see family pictures.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was Reuben Jr., Michelle, and Michael. Those were the three that were with us when we started, and then Rudy came January 4th. And then that's 18 months later is when the Rudy pie was invented, and that
Rudy
was
pie.
Rudy putting it together. Yes,
That is incredible.
it is. And then we, as the girls went on to other careers, and there was one waitress, especially her, she left such an impression on me. We just lost her a couple of years ago, Lydia Graham, and a lot of our customers still remember her. And Lydia was a single mom with 2 kids, and I give her so much credit because she put herself through beautician. She became a beautician, and she went through beauty college, and then she left us. But we remained friends till the day she passed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I remember that. I do remember her.
She was little but mighty, and that to me was the epitome of a waitress. She was the best.
Yeah.
And now I am very blessed to say that I don't have employees, and it's all run by family. All the grandkids have taken part. They've all learned to, cooperate, and it works so smooth. Yesterday, oh my gosh, Michaela and Blakely did such a beautiful job.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had tables outside. We had the 20 seats inside, and those girls ran it out because Grandma was busy. I was pulled this way, I was pulled that way. Talk to this one, talk to that.
Yeah, you're a media star for the day.
Oh, listen to you. Yes, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, doggone right. Well, Frances, it's a great familial story. It really is. And it's a great American success story. Continued success. You know, I love you, love this place. I was telling Chris a story. Do you remember when I first started coming in there with our mutual friend, Tony Tarango, that I almost bought a car from you all? Do you remember that?
Yes.
I almost bought a car from you guys, and instead I went with my girlfriend's cousin. I bought his Mustang, and Frances, you'll be happy to know it blew up on me 3 months later. Should have bought the car you were selling. Should have done it.
I tell you, 1982 was such a blessing to me. Reuben bought me a Cadillac. Remember when those Sevilles came out?
Sure.
With the bumpers?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be darned if my number didn't come up. We bought raffle tickets. We just bought them. And I won a 1982 Mustang.
Really, Chris?
Yes, but I had a Cadillac Seville in January that was given to me by my husband. So what I did, I gave that year in 82, my son Michael, the oldest, that's the one that's captain with the Kern County Fire Department. Michael ended up, I told him, if I win the car, son, it's yours. And that's at 16, he got a brand new Mustang.
Wow. You are blessed. The Lord is looking out for you. Hey, the Lord is paying special attention to your family, Frances.
Well, I give thanks to God every day, morning and at night.
Yeah.
And most of all, I thank him for all the customers, all our friends we have met through Happy Jacks.
Yes.
And I always keep them in prayer, the ones that
Yes.
we've lost.
You are a
I
gargantuan part of this community. You truly are. Thank you
Well-
so much for taking the time and coming on the program today, Francis. Say hi to Ruben and your whole family for me.
I will.
All
And
right.
God bless you. We'll
Yes.
see you there soon.
Absolutely. You will see me soon.
Okay.
All right. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Francis Rosales. God, I love that woman. She is one of the sweetest women I've ever met. And Ruben is a great guy. It's just it's a great familial story. And this is why you listen to radio, because I saw the piece that 17 did, and it was fine. And it was all of 2 minutes long, and you didn't get to hear any of the familial stories that you get through the pure communication of the genre of radio. Just saying. Quick time out. We'll check the board. We'll get into the 5. Get you caught up on Epic Fury or Project Freedom or whatever the hell they're calling it, the peace talks. Whether they're up, they're down, who knows? You will hear from the President of the United States. In the meantime, you're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show, TRBS, right here on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1230, streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1.
Adaptive.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk medicine with our friend Dr. Viv Dev. We will have John Cox with his very sneaky and duplicitous California news quiz. We will have state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know, beyond their field of expertise, IT, the folks at Adaptive Networks are the type of company that you want to be associated with. They're reliable, they're honest, they're trustworthy. And did I mention reliable? Because for a radio station, that's why we got in bed with these folks. We depend on our IT, as I'm sure many of you do as business leaders. And when our IT goes down, we are in trouble because you hear nothing. But we can depend on the folks at Adaptive Networks. And now, in the 21st century, with scammers out there stealing properties, IT property, it is more important that you call the folks at Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638. Why? Because not only can they fend off scammers, but if somehow you get compromised, the Van Alstynes, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, have the ability to retrieve that information. It happened on a national basis recently. So as a business person, you should be taking it seriously. And you should seriously get involved with the folks at Adaptive Networks. Call them today, 661-241-0638. Hit them online at adaptive-net.com.
And we're back.
And we're back. Yes,
Rob and Bob are back on the airwaves.
Rob and Bob. That's right. Well, not technically. Some contracts have taken longer than we thought.
We're fighting with the man a little bit, but California Fruit Depot still wants us to tell you that the lemons are free.
Yep.
The oranges are ripe.
Free lemons.
Local nuts.
Did I mention free parking?
Smoothies.
What about the big giveaway?
An incredible staff. Yes, the big giveaway. Let's announce this right now for the first time ever.
Yes. Free tank of gas to anyone who shops at Cal Fruit Depot. Some restrictions apply.
You must spend $10,000 on the same purchase.
That's like one tank of gas anyway.
And get a free tank of gas. I will follow you to the gas station, top it off,
It's
maximum
a $5 gift card.
maximum 5 gallons. So if you have a motorcycle, this could work out great for you. Think about that cost per mile. That's not bad.
Only from Cal Fruit Depot.
And that's $10,000 worth of pistachios or $10,000 worth of oranges. Think about it. CalFruitDepot.com. $10,000 offer has many restrictions, many of which you'll never retrieve. Please see our website for no details. Bye.
Hard Rock Casino Tejon, where every bite equals reward time. Start with the sizzle of prime cuts at deep cut steak and seafood. Take your taste buds on a journey at UU. Grab legendary favorites at Hard Rock Cafe or explore endless options at the marketplace. From elevated dining to quick bites, every flavor brings you closer to rewards. Come Come hungry and leave with more than just a great meal. Sign up for Unity by Hard Rock today. Must be 21 years of age or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Did you know termites can silently feast on your home for 3 to 4 years before you see any damage? They can literally eat a bedroom wall in less than 2 years, causing major structural damage to your biggest investment. Don't wait for the evidence to appear. Ryan's Termite is running an early bird special. If you know or even suspect that you have termites, get on Ryan's schedule now for an additional 10% off our already lowest price. All work is guaranteed. There's no money down and no contracts. Plus, in most cases, you won't even have to move or tent your house. Protect your home and save. Call Ryan's today. That's Ryan'sTermiteControl.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Got a visit from the folks from Highway 99 Collective last night. They did it again, Chris.
They drop you off a bag, or did you actually order?
I ordered, but I ordered A and B.
They gave you D and C.
They gave me C, D, and E.
I figured.
Yeah, it's
your first
it's
order.
embarrassing.
For them, though. That's traditionally how it works.
But this is the third time they've done this.
Oh, I know. He
They
really
hooked us up
likes
on
you.
420. They hooked us up before that, and
I'm just saying, like, this isn't just stuff that you would get if you're Ralph Bailey, is what I'm saying. Like, if you are looking for something along these lines, they could hook you up too.
yes, they could. You need to call them today at Highway 99 Collective. They are the best by far, and they're reliable and they deliver. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got?
Ralph, your comment about not speaking about ex-workers. When my term ended at KMC in 94, the nurses were going to throw a party for me that I didn't know. I was called off and turned in my badge. The party went on without me. I was told about it later.
I have a kind of similar story. I was working for Coast Media Newspapers, and this is back in the time when you could just quit a job. And I was young enough and stupid enough to think that you could just quit a job. I didn't have a job ahead of me. I was just tired of working for Coast Media Newspapers. And I figured my theory was that if I quit without having a job, I was 26. I was an idiot. 28. Then it would make me get a job very quickly because I would soon run out of money. I was living with my uncle rent free, but I still like to do things. You know, you got to live, you got to eat. I had a girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And so they threw a going away party from me. And there were two for me. And there were two owners that ran the newspaper. There was Ken Takahara, who was the money guy, knew nothing about journalism. Great guy. I used to play basketball with him every Saturday at Loyola Marymount. Great guy. I had a great relationship with him. And they were so cool, and they paid us so little. They would give you advances on next week's check. And you know me, I was in his office every week. And so, and then there was the other guy who was supposedly the journalist, but he didn't know anything about journalism either. But that's so Ken comes to my party, my going away party. I was dating this girl who looked like Toni Braxton back then. Lasted about 4 months, but God, she was fire. Looked just like Toni Braxton. A little short haircut. Anyway, so I'm at this party for me. They brought gifts, and they knew me. We got a lot of weed, and this is before I moved up here to take drug tests, and bottles of Jack, and it was great. It was one of the nicest parties I've ever had. And so Ken said, "You want to go smoke a joint?" And we went in the backyard. Ken, the money guy at the station. And we're smoking a joint, and he says, "Where are you going? What's your job?" And I said, "Well, there's a newsletter that they do at St. Francis Hospital where my dad works, and I'm thinking about being the editor of that." He said, "You don't have a job?" I go, "No, I'm not worried." He said, "Ralph, that's crazy. What do I got to do to keep you here then?" I go, "Excuse me?" And he says, "What do you need? What do you need? I'll give you a raise." And I said, "Well, it's really not the money." And I think I asked for like $100 a week more, something ridiculous. But what I wanted was, because again, I was living rent free. I didn't give a damn about money. But what I wanted was the title of city editor. Coast Media Newspaper was a big publishing company that produced weekly newspapers in different communities. My communities were Inglewood, Hawthorne, Lawndale, Playa del Rey, and Westchester. And essentially, the front page was different, the third page was different, but everything else was the same. You see what I'm saying? Ads and just national stories. But the first page was specific to the region and the third page. And so all I wanted was city editor, and so I could put it on my resume. And he said, deal. So I think I got like $100 a week and the title city editor. And so I go back into the party and everybody's saying goodbye. We're going to miss you. And I'm like, well, actually, I'll see you Monday. But thanks for the gifts. I'll see you guys. See you at work Monday. I felt like a heel. And there were a couple of people who didn't speak to me for a couple of days because I did not return the gifts. You gave them to me. Lo siento mucho, mi amigo. We're headed into the 5. Don't go anywhere.
Turn radio, AM 1230.
Let's see if we can do a lap.
96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield.
I think I can walk a lap.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
Maybe not.
There are primary elections happening in Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Idaho, and Pennsylvania this evening. Those contests are seen as a further test of President Trump's grip on Republican voters.
Who you got?
Ed Gallrein, endorsed by Trump, has won the Republican nominee for U.S. House in Kentucky's 4th Congressional District, beating incumbent Thomas Massey, who has been a thorn in the president's side. In Georgia, Republicans are choosing a challenger to take on Democratic Senator John Ossoff. In Pennsylvania, Democratic voters are picking their nominees to flip 4 Republican-held seats seen as critical for the party to retake the U.S. House. And Oregon voters are deciding whether to raise the gas tax. Russia's leader is visiting China to reaffirm ties with President Xi Jinping.
The Tuesday-Wednesday visit by Russian President Vladimir Putin comes less than a week after President Donald Trump wrapped up his own trip to Beijing. The visit's likely to be closely watched as Beijing seeks to maintain stable relations with the US while also preserving strong ties with Russia. The Kremlin said Putin and Xi plan to discuss economic cooperation between the two countries and key international and regional issues. The visit coincides with the 25th anniversary of the Sino-Russian Treaty of Friendship signed in 2021. Putin recently said in a video address that bilateral ties are at a truly unprecedented level and the relationship plays an important role globally. I'm Charles Deliver.
President Trump endorsed Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton in the Republican Senate runoff with incumbent Senator John Cornyn. The winner of that runoff will face Democrat James Tallarico. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 322 points. The NASDAQ dropped 220. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're considering investing in precious metals, don't wait. The Iranian conflict seems to be nearing an end, and the time is now to position your retirement for massive growth. Advantage Gold is America's #1 precious metals company, and they want to send you a free gold and silver investor guide valued at $49 when you call 800-900-8000. Plus, you'll get a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Our specialists can help you open a new account or transfer funds from an existing IRA, tax and penalty free, and show you how a gold-backed IRA can put real, tangible assets into your retirement portfolio. Markets react to news cycles, but gold has maintained its value through inflation, volatility, and economic uncertainty. When the purchasing power of the dollar declines, that's when investors turn to gold and silver. Make your move now. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Results may vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
The sexual abuse of a family member. I'm Chris Davis.
Why are there
warning that
advertisements
this story
of
is
this
a bit
blood
rough
draw
if you have
contest all
kids
over the
nearby.
place?
Back in 2022,
Why is
a
this such a big
14-year-old
deal?
girl reported to someone that she was being
What is
abused
it
by
exactly?
a family
What are they
member,
doing?
31-year-old Pablo Garcia Perez. Monday, Perez was convicted of abusing the girl, taking her to a rural area near
competition?
Arvin to do that. and intimidating her to keep it quiet. 3 of the charges for which he was convicted carry mandatory sentences of life in prison without parole. He is scheduled to be sentenced June
Look at
16th.
that. Beat
For
him.
former Kern County Sheriff Sergeant Ryan Dunbeer, his not guilty pleas Monday mean that he will be back in court August 6th for a preliminary hearing on the charges that he stole 3 meth pipes from the property room at the sheriff's office and took them home to smoke the residue, ending his quarter-century career with the department upon his arrest in January. Video surveillance has been presented that prosecutors say shows him stealing the pipes. The fires are still burning in Kern County, and that's why you are still seeing the smoke. But progress is being made. In the river fire, which is the one burning at the mouth of Kern Canyon, Cal Fire now says that the fire
Mattingly
has
is
burned
the
around
man.
300 acres and is about
They're
20%
15-4 since
with
he got
several
there.
roads closed in that area. If you're buying gas this afternoon, it has gone back up a few cents.
But they won't take the
average
interim
gallon
off
of
his
regular
name,
in
though.
California now, $6.14.
They have
says
to.
gas, buddy. You can get it a good bit
They
cheaper
have
than that
to.
at one station on Chester Avenue in Bakersfield that's selling it for $5.27. I'm Chris Davis in the KER newsroom with news
last
every
year,
half hour
the
and
year
when it
before,
breaks on News Talk
2 out. I
96.1
mean, nobody
and
out,
AM
first and
1230.
second in the bottom of the ninth.
KERN.
That's a win. That's a sure win. Somebody's getting a base hit.
Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want.
I
did
may
all
not
right.
get there with you, but I want you to know that we
661, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KER studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 19th day of May. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 at AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com. Please stand by. I have a team that needs a force, so yes, our computer has been trying to get more CGMC as sponsor of the team. Text Tim and tell him what's up. Oh, okay. That's outstanding. Apparently, I am playing in a golf tournament. Just got invited to play in a golf tournament.
Who?
Monday, June 1st. Motor City.
Oh, nice.
It is the Hey There, Delilah, their second annual golf class.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because they actually just emailed me today wanting to know what day is good to come on the show. So I was going to get with you after the show to talk about that.
Yeah, anytime. Get them on.
Okay, cool.
The tournament is June 1st, Monday, the day before Election Day at Bakersfield Club. So, yeah, I would love to get out there and work on my game. I would love to. 842-5376, 842-KER. Let's try to clear the board. What do you got?
In response to Goldner mentioned that his fund has been present during other administrations. The difference is those circumstances were not a part of the deal when the president of the United States was using his own government, his own Justice Department.
Yeah, but it's still bolstered groups. They still gave away tax money to groups that supported them. It's still just, it's shady. I don't know if it's as shady as giving money to people that stormed the Capitol. You know, I have a serious problem with January 6th. Again, I revere that city. I revere those buildings. And to think that there are idiot thugs and went running through there looking for Mike Pence, it would have been fascinating, unfortunate, but fascinating to see what would they have done if they had stumbled into that office. Well, they probably would have got shot, first of all, because the vice president has Secret Service. So if they had found him, they'd be dead, first of all. But just that idea that they were running around screaming, hang Mike Pence, the fact that any of you can excuse that behavior. And again, I just give you just flip the script for a second in your head. Imagine a horde, a mob, that many black people storming the Capitol. Would you have a problem with it? I'm pretty sure you would. But that's a discussion for another time. What else you got?
Ms. Goldner's attempt to rationalize insane wash the J6 fund was completely absurd. She tries to say that Biden and the others did it too, but Trump is specifically promoting this for the J6 rioters. he's not only giving them permission to get violent again, but he's actually incentivizing it with financial payments.
Well, I think that's a stretch. I don't think we have to worry about another January 6th riot. I don't think they're incentivizing it. I have a problem with it. I made that clear during the segment and made that clear throughout the program. The idea that you're giving money to people that attack Capitol police officers, again, some of you know that is personal to me. He no longer does it, but I had a cousin who worked as a Capitol police officer for years. In fact, he was a part of the Capitol Police and was out of the country because of a family emergency, or he would have been there. In fact, he got in trouble. They needed him there. And I think he got in trouble because he just said he was leaving. He didn't say he was going to be out of town, out of the country. And I think you're mandated to do so. I think that's why he got in trouble. I can't remember. But that's why it touches personally to me, because I have a family member who could have been harmed that day, could have been injured, who could have been killed that day. And again, just the sight of hoodlums and thugs roaming around the Capitol at will is nauseating to me. And so the idea of giving them money is insane, absolutely insane. But I didn't create this monster. And he is a product of the Democratic Party. If you're a Democrat that doesn't like Donald Trump, you need to look in the mirror, because you created this. You created this by nominating people like Hillary Clinton, who is as corrupt as a hanger. You created this by nominating people like Joe Biden, who is as crooked as a hanger and as incompetent as James Buchanan or Jimmy Carter. You created this by nominating Kamala Harris. You dumped your boy, and without any sense of competition, any sense of feedback from Democratic constituents, you anointed, despite the protestations of some of the smartest people in your party, Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, who said, don't do this, let's have a primary. But instead, your party anointed an absolutely incompetent woman who's had the hand of Willie Brown so far up her behind that it helped create her career in California as DA, as AG, as a senator, to the point where Willie Brown, who was her boo and created her career, wouldn't even endorse her for president. And you remember, it's just not that long ago, Barack and Michelle came in kicking and screaming to finally endorse her because they knew what they were getting. That's why Obama and Pelosi were insisting on a primary. But no, not the Democratic Party. Not the Democratic Party. You lied about Uncle Fluffy. You created the debate early enough so if what happened actually happened as it actually happened, you'd have enough time to dump him. You did. And instead of having a process and ending up with Josh Shapiro or maybe even J.B. Pritzker, no. What did you do as a party? You anointed this laughable, cackling, incompetent, not very bright woman. Well, let me not say that. You don't rise to the U.S. Senate. You don't pass the bar. You don't graduate from Howard if you're not an intelligent woman. Let me take that back. She's just a bad politician. Not everybody's good at it. It's a hard thing to do, to be able to smile and giggle when you're supposed to, as opposed to when you're not supposed to. And to be able to, it's a tough game. It's a tough game. So don't come to me crying about what Donald Trump does, because y'all created him. You absolutely created him. So it is what it is. What else?
Let's see. Did you see Todd Blanche wouldn't answer the question about setting up rules on his slush fund money, that if these white terrorists plead guilty to beating cops, they don't qualify for reparations.
Yes, I did. JD Vance, we played some audio earlier. He dodged the question as well. You know, are folks that were convicted of absolute crimes going to, you know, violent crimes, are they going to receive money? And we played through the audio where JD said he had better answers than Blanche. He wasn't before the appropriations subcommittee like Todd Blanche was, the acting AG, but he was acting press secretary, was Vance, filling in for Carolyn Levitt, who just had a baby. And he did say it's a case-by-case basis. We'll see. We're not just going to be throwing money out there willy-nilly. But just the idea that any of those idiots get $1 nauseates me. Absolutely nauseates me. Now, I'm sure you can examine where there were cases. I think even Mr. Vance, the vice president, brought up a case where a woman got 10 years for her participation. And, you know, we just got through talking about Henry Ruggs a couple of weeks ago, the former wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, who in a drunken stupor, driving 156 miles an hour, rear-ended a 21-year-old girl and killed her. And he's going to do 3 years. So if you're telling me that somebody that participated in January 6th gets 10 years and a guy killed a person and gets 3, you're making a pretty good point. You're making a pretty good point. Although I still think that there should be a pretty good punishment for doing what you did. I don't know if you can rationalize it because Ruggs got off easy because California, our punishment is ridiculous. Or was he punished in Vegas? I guess he was punished in Vegas. It wasn't a California case. Happened in Vegas, Nevada. But still, our judicial system makes no sense in some cases. Some cases it's too light. In some cases it's too heavy. And I'm sorry, I just can't get over the fact that these people storm the Capitol and they're going to get money. No, it makes me nauseous. Let's go ahead and take a break. We come back. We will hear from the President of the United States on the latest on our situation in Iran. Peace talks are, well, I have no idea. Let me be honest. I have no idea. But Trump says we are locked and ready. You'll hear from the leader of the free world. It is commencement time. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I love when whoever it is, today was the Today Show, does kind of a compilation. Did you see some of the commencement speakers? Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Really?
They go really weird with some of these.
Like, I'd be pissed if I was graduating from college and Tom Brady, I get a football player? He's a good guy. He's part of the Raider family. But I don't want to hear him speak. He's no genius. He's a football player. I doubt he graduated from Michigan. I don't want to hear from Tom Brady. But I did want to hear from Lindsey Vonn, so that's why I'm sharing it with you at the bottom of the hour. She's led an inspiring life and just went through some of the greatest trauma that anybody could go through, almost losing her leg. So I didn't mind that so much. I know it sounds kind of hypocritical, but there were some classics. Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. I don't know. I just would want somebody of letters. You know what I'm saying? I thought the best one, and I don't know if it was a commencement speech because he was a part of it, but they did let Shaquille, I hate Charles Barkley, O'Neal speak. And he gave him the 5 truths of success, which is pretty good stuff. I should have got that audio. That's too bad. In the meantime, let's take a quick time out. Come right back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio.
Best maker?
Yeah, I'll do it.
KERN. First Look with Scott Cox. Morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we will talk medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. We will have John Cox with his very sneaky and duplicitous California news quiz. We will have state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know what I've discovered on the back nine of my life? A, you've got to concede that you're on the back nine. And B, you've got to realize that retirement is fast approaching. That's why about a decade ago, I became a client of Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. I didn't want to strictly just depend on what could be a volatile 401k. And that's why I became a client. And it's the smartest financial move I have ever made. So if you're in your 50s or 60s and retirement is inevitable, you might want to give Daniel a call at 395-9400, 395-9400. As I've talked about, one of the things that I'm so happy about, I've turned on a couple of our colleagues here onto Daniel, and they could not be happier with the work he's done for them. Call him today at 395-9400, 395-9400, and his office is right on the corner of 21st and Oak, or just join us Thursdays at 4:30. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
Kern County is hiring its next state assembly member. Let's review the applicants. Applicant 1, Ana Palacio. Top funders, Sacramento Special Interests spending big to buy her the job. Healthcare plan, $700 billion government takeover that eliminates Medicare for millions of seniors and gives control of our healthcare decisions to Sacramento politicians. Pretty radical. There's no way we can afford Ana Palacio. Applicant 2, Andre Gonzalez. Experience, elected to the Bakersfield City Council. Record, addressed housing affordability and brought jobs to Kern County. Healthcare plan, expand access and bring a medical school to Kern County. Accountable to Kern County voters. Oh, easy choice. Vote for Andre Gonzalez for state assembly. Kern County's voice every time. Ad paid for by Keep California Golden. Ad committee's top funders: California Association of Realtors, Alliance of California's Farmers and Ranchers, and California Building Industry Association. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks so you can make smarter decisions faster. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Get your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic, the delicious daily detox that will keep you feeling your best. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon or pick up some at your local CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Now how I wish I had someone that got a time.
Another Saturday night, and I ain't got nobody. I got some money because I just got paid. Now I just had someone to talk to. I'm in an awful way. 812-537-6812-KERN. So the president addressed the media again today and talked about the situation in Iran. He told them that he is not happy with the way the negotiations are going, and he is implying that bombing will begin. Remember, I have predicted there will be no more bombing. I think the president has to understand that he is completely underwater on this thing, where 67% of the American people are against this. And thus far, as wrong as this may sound, or wrong's not the word, but as heartless as this may sound, we've been fortunate to have only 13 casualties. And again, I understand that sounds heartless because obviously there are 13 families that are still grieving. And 13 is too many. 1 is too many. But let's be honest, we've been lucky. And if that number radically increases, if suddenly military action restarts and we get 20, 30, 50 body bags coming home, the Republican Party is done, cooked. Gavin Newsom in 29, or J.B. Pritzker, or Josh Shapiro, or God forbid, Kamala Harris. Not that there's even a remote possibility of that, but there could be a remote possibility of that if, in fact, this thing goes badly. But the president says, despite my predictions, that we're locked and loaded. Here is the leader of the free world.
I was an hour away. We were all set to go. You're talking about yesterday. Yes. We were going to be striking it would have been happening right now. Yeah, it was all done. The boats, the ships are all loaded. They're loaded to the brim. And we were all set to start.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I really don't. And I'm not necessarily calling him a liar. Maybe he even thought he would. I don't know. Maybe I am calling him a liar, but I don't buy it. I'm sticking by my predictions that the military aspect of this is over. And at the end of the day, we still don't have their uranium. And we played you the audio of the president saying that they were going to hand it over to us. There's one way, and one way only, we are going to get the uranium of the Iranians, and that is going into Iran. That's it. You cannot bombard a country into somehow just handing over. You really think the IRGC is going to hand over their only ace? They have 2 aces in their sleeves: the Strait of Hormuz and the threat of nuclear war. Do you really think they're going to give up one of those cards? It's the president that loves to say, we've got all the cards. They have none. Really? Well, the New York Times was reporting that they have 70% of their stockpile. And again, they still have uranium, enriched uranium to 60%. So if we don't come out of this thing with 13 dead, billions spent, billions being asked for more, if we don't come out with a win, because now it's clear what a win looks like. A win isn't decimating their Navy. A win isn't decimating their air power. We've done that, and we have not won, despite what the president may say. The only victory, because they've created the scenario, you can't hear anybody in the cabinet without them saying they cannot have a nuclear weapon. So the idea that some people are putting forward that somehow the president can cut and run and declare victory, no. As long as they have that uranium, this thing was worthless, was absolutely worthless. And how we get that, you got to tell me, because it's way above my IQ level and pay grade. My best guess, as I just stated, is that phrase that nobody wants to hear, and that's boots on the ground. And that's when you're going to have a revolt. If this president sends American soldiers into Iran and they start coming home in body bags, he becomes Lyndon Johnson. The only difference is he doesn't have another election that he'll say he won't run for, as Johnson did in March of '68. But there will be a revolt in the Democratic Party, and this could be, if in fact we send boys and girls to Iran, this could be the final break with Donald Trump. I didn't think it was possible. I even thought there might be a legacy after Trump in 29 with either Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance. But if they try to team up with the Israelis and go in the ground and get that uranium, that's the end of the Republican Party. And how else is there victory without that enriched uranium? If you can create a victory scenario where the Iranians keep their uranium, I want to hear about it. Share it with me, please. Sad situation. It truly, truly is. We head into the back half of the hour, the final hour of the broadcast. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Our former federal agent Howard Marcus will join us. We'll talk a little hoops tomorrow. We got Knicks and Cleveland going on, I believe, as we speak. And when we come back, the voters of District 4 in the Commonwealth of Kentucky have spoken. I'll tell you the winner when we come back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show, News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, streaming live at kernradio.com. Hey, Siri.
Kern Radio, News Talk
Call Coconut Joe's.
96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
This is an SRN News
No.
special report. A
Call
GOP
Coconut
opponent
Joe's.
of President Trump loses his congressional
No.
seat. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie lost his Republican House primary Tuesday after a concerted effort by President Trump to oust him from Congress through challenger and ultimate winner Ed Gallrein. The results showed the president's persisting influence over GOP voters, adding to a growing number of Trump-backed primary challengers to defeat Republican lawmakers who angered him in his second term. Massie, who has served in Congress since 2012, angered Trump by pushing for the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, criticizing the war in Iran, and voting against his signature tax legislation last year. Gallrein, a former Navy SEAL, ran on his military service and loyalty to the president. This has been an
Try calling
SRN
Coconut
News
Joe's.
special report. I'm Keith Peters.
Try calling.
Kern Radio.
It's the second
News
day in a
Talk
row they won't
96.1
answer.
And AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. Former Kern County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Ryan Dunbier pleaded not guilty Monday to the accusations that he stole
Second day in a
3
row,
meth
they won't
pipes
answer.
from the property room at the sheriff's office and took them home to smoke the residue.
Yeah.
He is due back in court August 6th
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a preliminary
that's
hearing.
the club.
That incident ended his career back in January. The identity of a man who died in custody. That man died not long after being arrested in Delano back on May 9th, says a report
Are you
from the
serious?
Kern County Coroner's Office. 36-year-old Anthony Joseph
I didn't even know they
Francisco
had
of
Busy
Delano
Tones.
was arrested at Cecil Avenue and
Have you
Kensington
ever heard of
Street
Busy
in
Tone in the
Delano, but
21st
later
century?
went unresponsive according to that report. The cause and manner of death still have not been determined. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Not answering.
Every day is sales day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find
damn it, I'm
better
not fucking
prices.
chicken tonight.
Shop and compare. We don't
Hey
care.
Siri,
Take a look
all bento sushi.
and come into Bento Sushi Mobile. Every day is sale day.
Yeah,
Coconut
true.
Plus installed over 1 million square feet of flooring last year alone. Over 20 years of Bakersfield's best flooring store.
Hey, it's me.
Trust us with your hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and of course, carpet. Come in today
Hello?
to see over 100
Hi.
waterproof floors from our in-stock inventory.
I'm getting the
It's probably
same.
been time to change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Your free in-home estimate is waiting for you. Carpet
One
Plus,
salmon.
3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
One fried rice. That's it. Thank you.
With Scott Cox, morning
Yes,
6
sir.
to 9 a.m. On the
Thank you.
Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we
That's
will
so
talk
funny.
medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. We will have John Cox with his very sneaky.
I go to this
duplicitous
place like
California
once or
news
twice
quiz.
a week.
We will
And
have
when the woman
state-of-the-art news,
answers,
traffic, and weather. It's all
she
happening
just says,
6 to 9
okay,
a.m.
we'll
right
see you in a
here
little
at
bit.
News Talk 96.1
When
and
he
AM
answers,
1230.
he has to go through what I order, and it's the same freaking thing. The listeners know what I order. Salmon, yellowtail,
The JR Show,
fried
starting
rice.
at 1 p.m.
because the song would go, play that funky music. And then the whole crowd was screaming, white boys! And I was always like, that ain't right. Y'all just like saying white boys. That ain't right. It's a great song, though. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's hear from Lindsey Vaughn. As you know, she's been through a lot. I mean, she dated Tiger Woods. Come on, honey. No, come on. Let's take an Uber. No, all right. And so she's been through a lot. Damn near lost her leg. I don't know. You should Google it if you're unfamiliar somehow with her story, trying to come back in her 40s and looking like she was going to compete. She put up a time during the trials going into the Olympics that would have gotten her a bronze medal. So she was going to be on the stand at least. And, you know, every now and then you get lightning in a bottle. She might even want a gold medal. Unfortunately, she caught her arm on one of the, what do they call those things during the slalom?
Gates.
Yeah, gates. Yeah, I think that's exactly what they call them, gates. And she caught her elbow on one of the gates that spun her around, and she landed on her right leg and basically tore the damn thing up and damn near lost it, to the point where they literally had to fillet her leg for reasons medically that I can't understand. But I saw the picture of it where it looked like her leg was a fish. It was literally just opened up and you just see arteries and muscles. And it was tough. And she literally almost lost her leg. She's still going through rehab. And I think she still has operations to go through. She had 3 in Italy and 2 in Colorado. And I think she still has 1 more to go through. But she was the commencement speaker at the University of Southern California. And I'm sure there's somebody in this community who was there because of their grandchild or their child. I'm sure there, you know, a lot of private school kids go to SC. And I was touched by her comments to the students.
Because standing in that starting gate, knowing I had earned the right to be there, knowing I had a real chance to win, that was already a victory. That crash didn't take that from me. Nothing could. And you are about to walk out of here into a world that's going to ask you to dare, to step into your own starting gate. Maybe it's your first job and you're not sure you're ready. Maybe it's a company you want to build and everyone thinks the odds are stacked against you. Maybe it's a seat at the table no one handed to people like you without a fight. Step into that gate anyway, because the daring, the act of trying when the outcome isn't guaranteed, that's where the next phase of your education really begins. Out there, in the risk, in the attempt, in the willingness to stand at the top of something terrifying and trying anyways. I have stood at the top of some of the most beautiful mountains in the world. But when I think about who I am, really, at my core, I don't think about the wins or the records. I think about the little girl from Minnesota who was told she'd never make it. I think about every starting gate I stood in afraid. I think about every time I climbed back up after a crash, with broken bones, with nobody watching. That's who I am. I'm the person who refused to give up. So dare to dream, even when it's hard, even when the outcome is uncertain, even when people think you're crazy for trying. Jump, because the only real failure in life is not trying.
I could not have said it. I almost started crying. I could not have said it better. And that's how we have failed, I think, our grandkids and our children, where out of goodness of our hearts, we have tried to be the safety net for these children, which is exactly the role of a parent. Don't get me wrong. Ralph and Harriet got me out of a couple of scrapes and certainly were there for me when I was stupid and doing things crazy and not doing what's right. But at some point, you have to allow your children to fail. You have to let them understand that failure is a part of life. And she's absolutely right. When I look at my life, when I look at my career, I look back sometimes, I'll smoke a joint and just be staring at the ceiling. And I'll think of how many times I was told I would never succeed. I'll use this radio station as an example. I get fired from, I think it was Clear Channel. And I interviewed at Buckley Radio, the job that I would later get. But I also interviewed here with John Zimney, who at that time was considered a god as a news director. And it was during the heyday of Scott and Inga. And I interviewed with John, and he told me, "You're just not ready. I can't see you doing a 3-hour radio show." And I said, "Well, why not roll the dice with me, John? I'm a pretty smart guy. I really am." He said, "No, I'm sorry, Ralph." And they gave me kind of a job on one of the sister stations. And I did that for about 3 weeks. I was on, I think, from like 4 to 6, something. It was crazy. I was miserable. And I finally got hired at Buckley Radio. I was there for 9 years. And then I was lured here, ironically, by the boss that hired John Zimney. I've been here for 13 years. John Zimney could not have been more wrong. And what if I had taken his word seriously? What if I had said he's right? I couldn't do a 3-hour show. How the hell do you talk for 3 hours? What the hell am I going to talk about? That's how we failed our young people. That the idea that failure is a part of life. Michael Jordan failed. Magic Johnson failed. Shaquille O'Neal was swept. How many times, Chris? 5 times?
Something like that.
5 times Shaquille O'Neal got swept. And the final time, he literally went into the Laker locker room and tore a toilet off the wall. 6 times? 6 times he's been swept. And the final time, he went into the locker room and tore a urinal off the wall, literally, as Jerry West stood there. And Jerry West grabbed him, as much as you can grab a guy 7 foot tall, 320 pounds, when you're 6'3" and $190, and said, "You don't need to go through this. You've experienced it. You're going to go on, and you will be successful." And lo and behold, they bring in Phil Jackson, they three-peat, and the rest is history. Goes on to Orlando with Pat Riley, wins one down there. You've got to fail to succeed. And I'm not sure we have completely put that in the minds of our young people, that they're so caught up in social media and the envy of their friends who are showing pictures of them in Mazatlan with umbrellas in their drinks and on yachts with beautiful women. And we're so envious. Instead of just focusing on you and whatever your mission is and staying concentrated on that despite the bumps and failures. Because there will be bumps and failures. That's guaranteed. The story that I love to tell is the Michael Jordan story. Michael Jordan was cut from his junior year in high school team. Cut! Not sat on the bench and got no time, but cut from the team. Michael, you're not good enough to play basketball here at Gadsden High School in North Carolina. I have no idea where it is. And instead of going home and telling his mother that the coach didn't like him, or he doesn't like him because he's black, or they just whatever, bop, he says, "All right." And he worked on it. Now, the part of the story that I don't tell kids when I tell this story is that he went from 6'1" to 6'6" over the summer. A little bit, 6'1". Okay, I have a little bit, but that's beside the point. The point is, he didn't give up. He didn't quit. And that is what life is about, really. It's about your character, who you are. what's inside of you. Are you true? Are you honest? Are you sincere? That's what it's about. And do you have the chutzpah, the balls, to get up and dust yourself off when you get knocked down? Because I guarantee you, you will be knocked down. Life is a bitch, and it will come around and kick you in the teeth and walk away laughing. The greatest lesson I learned was from Sarah Wallace, my favorite English teacher in 11th grade, who had a gargantuan sign over her desk: life is not fair, don't come to me. And it was one of the first lectures she gave. I don't want to hear, oh, I got a B minus, but I needed a B. I don't want to hear life is gonna, it's not fair. And I just don't think we've inspired our children to understand that. We come running to their rescue when they're in trouble. You need some money, baby? No, let them starve for a little while. Let them understand what it's like to be hungry, figuratively and literally. I don't know. And I know what you're going to say, Ralph, you never had any kids, so what the hell do you know? Well, I would counter with that I played a huge role in my youngest late sister's life. I changed diapers as a 10-year-old. I was a babysitter at like 12. It wasn't until she was like 2 my parents would let me stay alone with Tina. And I helped raise my 3 nephews, and I'm still involved with my youngest nephew's life, Thaddeus, greatly. So I poo-poo anybody who says just because I didn't raise any children. I raised about 4 or 5 children in reality. And I don't think you have to be a parent to understand the basic principles of life and how to be successful. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the day. Somebody needs to call Coconut Joe. Well, no, you can't call him because I've been trying to call him for 2 days. Somebody needs to tell Bill, the owner, what the hell's going on with your phone system? And normally I could walk over there, but I'm a little gouty today. So I'm doing sushi tonight. But I wanted to go to Coconut Joe's. They lost a customer because their phone system is down. And this happened to me yesterday. And Chris called and got a busy signal. I haven't heard a busy signal in 30 years. I love me some Coconut Joe's. They're not a sponsor. They spend no money with us. But somebody needs to contact them next time you go in there and say, Ralph Bailey says your phone system is down. He likes to make an order and then kind of walk on over to your place. We're about, what, a mile from Coconut Joe's right now?
That's probably fair.
Oh, well. What are you going to do? Tomorrow's Wednesday. Former federal agent Howard Marcus will join us. In the meantime, keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
on the Wednesday edition of the First Look program.
Ooh. This could be a sweep. Chris, this could be a sweep. This could be a sweep. I beg your pardon. You ready? 3, 2. I don't think people understand how disastrous the Trump endorsement of Ken Paxton is. He's the I candidate. He was indicted for fraud. He was impeached as the AG, and he's an infidel. He cheated on his wife. And he's going up in that Senate race in Texas against a pastor. James Tellerico is going to beat him, and Republicans are going to lose the Senate. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. Well, it's Wednesday. Our former federal agent Howard Marcus will join us. We'll have the latest on the Iranian situation and NBA basketball. Knicks, Cleveland. We'll give you the results of that and preview San Antonio. Who are they playing?
Thunder.
And we'll preview San Antonio and the Thunder. All that, me at 3. It's TRBS. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. I'll see you at 3. You want me to do it again?
No, you're fine. I can cut that in.
You sure? All right. What were you pointing at?
The screen. What's the yellow bar?
It says error. More than one ingestion is using the primary URL. Send one stream to the primary ingestion URL and one stream to the backup URL. No idea what that means.
I think that means there's 2 streams going at the same time.
Are you guys seeing us? Are there 2 streams going on?
No, we're live.
Yeah? Okay. Well, I don't know what that means. That's above my pay grade.
Oh.
.com. Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I'm boogeyman. I'm a boogeyman. Turn me on. Boogeyman. 842-537-6842 KERN. Want to thank Francis Rosales for joining us. If you've missed that, we spoke with the owner of Happy Jacks. They just celebrated their 50th anniversary. Make sure you go back to YouTube and you can scroll forward to 4:30 when we spoke with Francis. It was a great interview. Love her and her husband, Ruben. And we spoke with Teresa Golder at 3:30. You can go back if you missed that as well. In the meantime, let's clear the board, and I'm going home to eat some fish.
Ralph, if you want to hear Shaquille O'Neal's commencement speech at LSU, go to any of the LSU pages on Instagram. It was posted.
Yeah, I saw most of it. I saw most of it on Reels last night. What else you got?
Ralph, do you really believe that the New York Post knows that the Iranians have 70% of their stockpile left? Did they get a call from what's left of Iran saying we've still got 70%? I don't think so.
It's the New York Times, and yes, I'm sorry, I'm not Rick Bentley. I believe in the honesty and integrity of journalism, and I think they have enough sources within the CIA. You don't think people within the CIA want to talk to the press? How do you think stories that aren't supposed to get out? As I've tried to explain, there's this sense that journalism is Ralph Bailey in a trench coat and a flashlight going through files late at night that he's not supposed to. You know what journalism is? As I learned later in life, it's about creating relationships. And you get to the best journalists are people who create relationships so much that people tell them things they're not supposed to tell them. So yes, I absolutely believe the New York Times. You haven't heard, let me ask you this. Have you heard the administration refute that stat? Have you heard the president come out and say that's total crap? That's just not true. Have you heard that from Hegseth? No, you haven't. And if that's not true, how did they shoot down an F-15 after the president said that we had completely decimated everything that they have. Why are insurance companies not insuring ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz if, in fact, we've decimated them? Decimate means you are incapable of fighting, and they still have the capability of fighting. And at the end of the day, as I said, this whole thing is about the uranium. No one in the cabinet will speak about Iran without saying Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So whether you want to argue whether you believe the New York Times, and not the New York Post, but the New York Times, whether you believe that or not, this whole thing will be an abject failure if, in fact, that uranium does not leave Tehran. Because as every cabinet member says, they can't have a weapon. And if they still have a weapon, then we lost 13 people for nothing. We spent billions and billions of dollars for nothing. And we used up a lot of our own military ammunition. And for what? We have to get the uranium. If we can do that in the deal, Donald Trump will go down as one of the greatest presidents of all time. If he can shift the needle in the Middle East and just somewhat moderate the crazy fanatics that they are, just somewhat, just change the behavior. They're fanatics. You're not going to get a 360. But if we can move the needle and moderate them just to leave Israel alone, just not to fund their proxies who are terrorizing the Israelis and all the other neighbors. And that's the only good thing, in my opinion, that's come out of Epic Fury, that the Iranians overplayed their hand and started going after these other Gulf Coast nations that didn't want to have anything to do with us in terms of helping the Iranians or fighting the Iranians. But now they do, because they irresponsibly went after the United Arab Emirates. They went after these other Gulf Coast countries. And now you've made an enemy of them and made them a friend of ours. And we appreciate it. Thank you very much. But at the end of the day, without the uranium, no matter what you think, all right, fine. Let's say they have no ammunition left. They can't defend themselves at all. Then why don't we just go in, walk in there and get the uranium? If, in fact, you're right, the New York Times is wrong. A Bakersfield radio guy thinks he knows more about what's going on than the New York Times. God, I wish I had half your ego. Just half. What else you got?
That's actually all we got.
All right. 33-25, the Knicks are leading. I see a sweep here, Mr. Burdick.
Yeah, I knew.
You are completely biased. This is Ralph Bailey, Open Door Network. No, I'm kidding. I don't see them handling them.
I don't see them winning the series, but I don't see a sweep. I don't think that's them. All right, I feel like Cleveland wins at least one or two.
You would think, but I'm smelling like a 20, 25-point win tonight. These playoffs, although last night was thrilling. Last night was absolutely thrilling. I don't know if you guys saw it. San Antonio and OKC went into double OT. And for the first time, I saw a weak Oklahoma City ball club that just didn't know how to deal with Wemby. This kid is just an unbelievable force, and he is the new face of the league. You know, there's a famous story during the 92 Olympics. Magic had returned. This was post-HIV positive and post being told by some of his colleagues in the NBA they didn't want to play with him. Karl Malone, that idiot, and John Stockton. And so this was Magic's moment. He got to finally play with Larry Bird. And most of you know the story. They scrimmaged East versus West. So it was Michael and Chris Mullins and all those guys, and Magic and Malone and all those guys. And they were going at it. And Magic's team was winning. And then he taunted Jordan. Like, if you don't turn into Superman, we gonna kick your ass. And as Magic tells the story, he says, why did I do that? Because that's exactly what he did. He turned into Superman, and Jordan and his club destroyed him. And Bird and Magic were sitting in a room, and Michael walked in, and he said, there's a new sheriff in town. And Bird looked at Magic and said, He's right. Well, that's Wemby. There's a new sheriff in town. It's no longer Steph Curry. It's no longer about Kevin Durant. It may not even be about SGA anymore. It's about Wemby. This kid is phenomenal. Again, I want to thank Teresa Golder, our good friend Francis Rosales at Happy Jacks. And in the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I'll wrap you tomorrow.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie lost his Republican House primary Tuesday after a concerted effort by President Trump to oust him from Congress through challenger and ultimate winner Ed Galbraith. The results showed the president's persistent influence over GOP voters, adding to a growing number of Trump-backed primary challengers to defeat Republican lawmakers who angered him in his second term. Massie, who has served in Congress since 2012, angered Trump by pushing for the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, criticizing the war in Iran, and voting against his signature tax legislation last year. Galbraith, a former Navy SEAL, ran on his military service and loyalty to the president. Also Tuesday, Republicans statewide in Kentucky
destroyed his helmet.
chose their Senate nominee to replace longtime Senator Mitch McConnell. Congressman
I'm just
Andy
going to take
Barr,
it home.
who is also endorsed.
I'm going to
by
take it
Trump.
home.
There's a possible indictment against
Before I
a
just destroy the
high-ranking
whole
Cuban
damn thing.
official.
According to 3 people familiar with the matter, the Justice Department is preparing to seek an indictment against former Cuban President Raul Castro, and that the potential indictment is connected to Castro's alleged role in the 1996 shoot-down of 4 planes operated by the Miami-based exile group Brothers to the Rescue. Prosecutors in Miami have been building cases against senior Cuban officials amid renewed pressure from South Florida Republicans and a pledge earlier this year by President Donald Trump to orchestrate a friendly takeover of the communist-run island. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The Senate has advanced legislation that seeks to force President Trump to withdraw from the Iran war by a 50-47 vote tally. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 322 points. More at townhall.com.
If you're considering investing in precious metals, don't wait. The Iranian conflict seems to be nearing an end, and the time is now to position your retirement for massive growth. Advantage Gold is America's #1 precious metals company, and they want to send you a free gold and silver investor guide valued at $49 when you call 800-900-8000. Plus, you'll get a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's book, Our